Hey there, want to make your voice heard at a Board of Supervisors meeting? We're all ears. Here's how you can get involved. First, hop online and look at the agendas. This will give you the scoop on what's coming up before the board. Each agenda item includes a brief description of the issue, the recommendations, and potential impacts. If you need more detail, check out the detailed reports online. Those are called board letters. Then, decide if you want to speak at Tuesday's general legislative session or Wednesday's land use session. You'll have 3 opportunities to have your say. Let's start with non-agenda public comment. This is your chance to talk about things that aren't on the agenda, but try and keep your topic related to county government. For non-agenda public comments, you can speak at either the Tuesday or Wednesday session, but not both. So pick your day accordingly. And keep in mind, the board can't act on the spot. They'll refer your comments to the Chief Administrative Officer, who will look into the issue. Last thing, the board will hear from the first 10 speakers, 5 in person and 5 by phone at the beginning of the session. Then all the remaining speakers will get their chance to speak after the discussion items. During the consent agenda, the board handles a bunch of routine items with 1 vote. If you want to comment on an item, keep it simple. For example, I'm John Doe speaking on item 5, and I agree with approving the contract. Discussion items are the main event where the board debates before making a decision. Want to speak at one of the meetings? It's really easy. Just hop online and fill out a quick request form at publiccomment.sandiegocounty.gov. Pick the meeting you're interested in, hit the register button, then fill in your details. Make sure to include a phone number if you plan on speaking by phone. Prefer speaking at the podium in the board chamber? No problem. Just pick the in-person option. After that, just check off the agenda items you want to talk about and let them know you're for, against, or neutral on them. Hit register and you're good to go. A confirmation email will land in your inbox to wrap it up. If you're speaking by phone, the email will include the instructions for how to dial in. Be sure to submit your request early. Once public comment begins on the agenda item, we can't take any more requests to speak. And if you have documents, hand them to the deputy clerk when it's your turn to speak at the podium. Now, you get 2 minutes to speak, but if lots of people want to talk, it might get cut to 1 minute. So, you might want to consider writing 2 sets of comments, one for 2 minutes, another one for 1. That way, if time's cut, you won't be scrambling. There's also a countdown clock at the podium to keep you on track. Once you're at the podium, stay on topic. Stick to the current agenda item. If you stray off topic, you might get a gentle nudge to get back to the point. Keep your comments related to the agenda item's recommendations because that's what the board is relying on to make a decision. Also, speak directly to the board. They're the ones making the decision. When your time's up, it's up. Overstaying might mean getting muted or even asked to leave. Now for some ground rules. For safety, keep aisles and doorways clear. If there isn't a seat, head across the hall to room 302 or the 4th floor balcony to watch the meeting. Respect is huge. Everyone should feel heard. That means you, other speakers, and the Board of Supervisors. Disruptive behavior gets 1 warning, and after that, a deputy sheriff might show you the door. So let's keep it respectful. Your voice matters, and we want to hear from you. Remember, we're all here to make a difference.
now call the March 3rd, 2026 San Diego County Board of Supervisors regular meeting, Fire Protection District meeting, and Sanitation District meeting to order. We would like to take a moment to acknowledge the land we call home. There are communities in the San Diego region that face unjust conditions and circumstances related to the environments in which they live. The tribal nations of the San Diego region are an example of one community that has historically faced such injustices. We acknowledge the harmony that existed between the land, nature, and its original peoples, who have since endured displacement, persecution, and systemic oppression. We pay our respect to the unceded territory and homelands of the 18 tribal nations in our region, the most in any county in the United States, from 4 cultural groups: the Kumeyaay Digueño, the Luiseño, the Cupeño, and the Cahuilla. We aspire to learn from indigenous traditional knowledge and experiences in undoing the injustices of the past. Andrew, please call the roll for today's session.
Thank you, Chair Lawson-Remer. Supervisor Anderson.
Here.
Supervisor Desmond.
Here.
Chair Pro Tem Aguirre.
Here.
Vice Chair Montgomery Stepp.
Here.
Chair Lawson-Remer.
Here. Thank you. We now proceed with the proclamations. The first proclamation will be given by myself and Supervisor Desmond, honoring Susan Brazeau. Oh, sorry. Apologies. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. We now have Father Nguyen, who will deliver the invocation, and Chanel Hawken, who will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Loving and Creator God, you created each one of us with dignity. We come together this morning recognizing that you call each of us to respect the human dignity in each person, to live a radical inclusion that embody your tenderness and love for all of us. We ask that you guide us, that our actions, listening, planning, and decisions today be grounded in this radical love, to love our neighbors as ourselves, so that we come to realize that the fears and hopes, the struggles and the victories of our neighbors are our own. We love one another because we belong to each other. We pray that our listening and learning, our speaking and sharing, and the decisions we make take into account the most vulnerable among us. We pray for all families in our county who suffer from the lack of resources to fear of being separated, and for the families who already live in separation. We pray for strength and leadership so that as your beloved community, we work together to care for them, to restore dignity to each person, to each resident in our county. We bless them as we bless ourselves, always in your holy name, who always accompany us and call us to the fullness of who we are, to live with dignity and flourishment, and to protect those who are most vulnerable among us. Amen.
Amen.
Please place your right hand over your heart. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So now we proceed with the proclamations. The first proclamation is from myself and Supervisor Desmond, honoring Susan Brazeau. Accepting the proclamation will be Susan Brazeau.
Come on over here.
Good morning. So I'm very happy and also a little bit sad to stand here with Supervisor Desmond and to celebrate to someone who has given 25 years of service to this county, Susan Brazeau, our Director of Human Resources. For more than a decade as Director, Susan has helped guide this county through growth, change, and challenge, always calm, thoughtful, and prepared. Human resources can become complex work. It requires fairness, discretion, and patience. Susan brought all of that and more. She built trust, she strengthened relationships, she made sure our workforce had the support it needed to serve the people of this county well. and she did it with professionalism, integrity, and kindness. In positions like these, you are never really off the clock. I'd like to thank Susan and her family, especially her parents in Michigan and her daughter who's away in college, for their patience and grace when Susan stepped away from family time, whether on vacation or a weekend visit, to answer our many calls and emails. Susan, your leadership has made a lasting mark on this organization. We are better because of you. Thank you for your service, thank you for your steadiness, and thank you for the care you brought to this role every single day. Thank you. You will truly be missed. And with that, I turn it over to Supervisor Desmond.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair. Appreciate it. So Susan, she has faithfully and diligently served the County of San Diego for more than 2 decades, beginning her distinguished career in 2002. As a labor relations specialist, and through her dedication and expertise, she advanced numerous leadership roles, and her commitment was to excellence and the evidence of a progression to senior labor relations officer and labor relations manager, where she provided invaluable guidance and fostered collaborative relationships that strengthened our workforce here at the county. She continued the commitment to her excellent leadership, was promoted to Deputy Director of Human Resources in 2011, and then by 2014, she took over the department. So she was the Director of Human Resources, and she's held that distinction for over a decade. She championed the modernization of the Employee Engagement Survey, transforming it into a powerful tool that informs programs designed to help strengthen workforce well-being and foster a culture of listening and responsiveness across the border and across the entire enterprise. Her leadership extended beyond the traditional boundaries. She wove in the board's priorities, but also, okay, this is a big word, the Neurodivergent Excellence Program. I'm going to have to look that up. And the veterans in the workforce into the fabric of this organization, ensuring that every employee, I'm sure, felt valued and supported in their unique contributions. And as the Senior Labor Relations Officer and Labor Relations Manager, Susan advanced strategic initiatives, but also created an environment where inclusion, respect, and opportunity became the hallmarks of the county's commitment to its people and their advancement. She championed talent development initiatives, ensuring employees had the opportunities to grow and to thrive and continue the success of the organization, leaving a legacy of empowerment and professional excellence. Did you see the smile? It's there all the time. She's got a great smile and a great attitude, and she really kind of brings up the spirit of collaboration and cooperation while still getting a hard job done. So we're going to miss you and your beautiful smile. So whereas the County of San Diego is committed to recognizing and honoring those individuals, and particularly Susan Brazeau here today, be it proclaimed by the Chair, Tara Lawson-Remer, and all the members of the San Diego County Board of Supervisors on this 3rd day of March 2026, that we commend Susan Brazeau for her outstanding service, leadership, and commitment to the residents of San Diego County, and to hereby declare today to be Susan Brazeau Day throughout San Diego County. Thank you. You're welcome. Come on over here. Here. I'll hold this up. You got some words? Come on.
Thank you so much. I am so honored. I am a person of few words, so I simply want to say thank you, Chair, Supervisor Desmond, Supervisor Anderson, Chair Pro Tem, my boss, Ebony, Andrew, Monica, Vice Chair, Montgomery staff. Thank you so much.
Look at you. We're going to miss you. All right, we got to give her.
Thank you. The second proclamation will be given by Supervisor Desmond, honoring the Oceanside Historical Society. Accepting the proclamation will be Christy Hawthorne.
Thanks. Christy, yeah, good to see you. Thanks for coming here. Thanks for being here. Thanks for coming. Thanks for coming. All right. All the way from Oceanside, California. That's part of Northern California, if you didn't know. It's where I live. Good morning, everyone, and I'm honored today to recognize Christy Hawthorne. She's the director of the Oceanside Historical Society, along with her dedicated volunteers who passionately champion the community's heritage, preserving stories, artifacts, landmarks, and define their coastal community. So thank you for making the trip down. It wasn't too bad down the 5 this morning, but well, it was a little tricky. But anyway, as most of you know, hopefully, Oceanside is renowned for its iconic pier, dating back to the 1800s. Rich military ties to the Marine Corps base just north Camp Pendleton. A vibrant surf culture celebrated at the California Surf Museum is in Oceanside. And the historic Mission San Luis Rey. It's a dynamic art scene, has a dynamic art scene anchored by the Oceanside Museum of Art. So there's a lot of culture, a lot of activity up in Oceanside. So the Historical Society also preserves and supports historic sites like the Heritage Park and Museum, and so future generations can experience the local history firsthand. Before stepping into her role as director, Christy Hawthorne, she dedicated more than 20 years as president of the Oceanside Historical Society, and that's a legacy that she built. In celebration of Women's History Month, we're especially grateful for Christy's heart, vision, and tireless energy in keeping this historic town shining bright and honoring its unique history. She's inspired many amazing community events of volunteers, historians, and partners who generously share their time and talents to the brief history of life in Oceanside. Oceanside's on the map because of leaders like Christy, and we're so lucky to have you there. Unfortunately, a lot of cars pass on that 5 and head into San Diego, and they could just pull off into Oceanside and enjoy everything right there. But anyway, the Society's unwavering dedication to the diverse stories strengthens the community spirit, deepens the belonging, preserves priceless history, and fuels Oceanside cultural and economic viability. I'm proud to have supported their impactful service through our county's grant programs. And whereas the County of San Diego, we're proud to recognize and honor organizations and people that exemplify the highest ideals of public service, and the Oceanside Historical Society is one such worthy organization. So therefore, be it proclaimed by all members of the San Diego County Board of Supervisors on this 3rd day of March, 2026, that we commend the Oceanside Historical Society for their outstanding service, leadership, and commitment to the citizens of San Diego County, and do hereby declare today, along with Susan Brazeau Day, to be the Oceanside Historical Society Day throughout San Diego. Thank you, Christy, and it's an honor very well deserved, so thank you so much. Oh. All right, yeah. Did you want to speak? Who's speaking? Did you want to speak, say a few words?
I just want to thank Supervisor Desmond for this honor and for the County Board of Supervisors. You know, the Oceanside Historical Society is a very modest nonprofit, but we've done a lot. We've published 3 histories about this history of Oceanside in our 40-year period. I want to introduce our president, Shelley Grishon, our board member and social media director, Rebecca Kemp. Again, we do a lot with a little. I love Oceanside, and we have a very culturally diverse population, and we try to include everyone. Our history dates back to the mission, includes Camp Pendleton, and includes so many people of all walks of life. Oceanside truly is where life is worth living. Before I close, I want to thank Supervisor Desmond for his support in allocating grant monies to us, for the County Board of Supervisors in total to approving those grant funds, because a little nonprofit such as ours, we really need that public support and those grant money. So thank you for your time and attention, and thank you, Supervisor Desmond.
Thanks,
thank you.
Appreciate it. Thanks for stepping up. Thanks for volunteering and stepping up on the board. Appreciate it. Yeah. It pays a lot, right? It is.
Okay, thank you very much. The next proclamation will be given by Vice Chair Montgomery Stepp, honoring Cox Charities. Accepting the proclamation is Chanel Hawkins. Hawkins.
Come on up, come on up. Well, that's half the chamber. Good morning, everyone. It's such an honor to be here today as we recognize Cox Charities, an organization that is committed to strengthening our community. This organization is built on a long-standing tradition of service and philanthropy, supported directly by Cox employees who give generously and consistently year after year. Their mission is centered around strengthening the communities they serve through investments in education, youth development, social services, and local nonprofits that help families thrive. Each year, Cox Charities provides grants, scholarships, and partnerships that directly support students, educators, and community organizations. Their support of STEM initiatives, after-school programs, and youth enrichment opportunities build pathways for young people to succeed. And their scholarships help open doors for local students who dream big but may face barriers to higher education. And for countless nonprofits providing essential services like literacy programs and family support services, Cox Charities has been a steadfast partner. It reflects a company culture where giving back isn't an afterthought, but it's a shared value. Today, I'm happy to recognize this extraordinary commitment and celebrate the meaningful change that Cox Charities and Cox employees create throughout our communities. I've seen this firsthand and been a witness for 7 years as an elected official, and even before that as a staffer. So I personally want to thank you all for what you do for our community. And with that, I will read the last line of the proclamation. Be it proclaimed by Chair Lawson Reamer and all members of the San Diego County Board of Supervisors on this third day of March 2026 that we commend the Cox Charities for their outstanding service, leadership, and commitment to San Diego County, and do hereby declare this day to be Cox Charities Day throughout San Diego County. Congratulations.
Thank you so much, Supervisor Stepp, and thank you to all the county supervisors that I've gotten to know over the years. I know you guys work hard each and every day, and I'm just so excited to be here for such a positive event. My name is Chanel Hawkins. I'm the Market Vice President here in San Diego for Cox. And on behalf of the entire Cox family, a lot of our Cox Charities board members are actually here today. I'm so honored to accept this proclamation. It's, I think, one of the most favorite days of my work here at Cox for the past 10 years. It's not just a recognition about one event, but a culmination of all of our employees' time, treasure, and talent that they've given over the past 30 years. And today we have 4 really special nonprofits here. We have the David's Harp Foundation, we have Feeding San Diego, we have Junior Achievement of San Diego County, and Shelter to Soldier. And they're here today to celebrate with us, but what they don't know is that they will each be receiving a $100,000 grant from the Cox Charities Foundation. I'm getting teary-eyed. I told you. So thank you so much to these organizations. Like I said, this doesn't happen without our employees that give to the Cox Charities Foundation. And so thank you for all the work that you guys do. I accept this and present this on behalf of the employees and all the impact that we've been able to make in San Diego County. So thank you.
Wow.
Okay, thank you very much. The fourth proclamation will be given by Chair Pro Tem Aguirre honoring the American Heart Association. Accepting the proclamation is Erica Cervantes Aro.
Thank you. How are you? Thank you for being here. Nice to see you. Good to see you. All right. Good morning, everyone. It is my distinct honor to recognize the American Heart Association for its extraordinary leadership in the fight against cardiac arrest and heart disease. For more than a decade, the County of San Diego has advanced heart health through prevention, education, and community blood pressure screenings. We know early intervention saves lives, and we're proud to partner with organizations that share that commitment. At the same time, we must acknowledge persistent health inequities in San Diego County. In my district, historically underserved communities, including communities of color, low-income families, immigrants, seniors, and individuals experiencing homelessness, face barriers to preventive care, culturally responsive services, and life-saving trainings. When emergencies happen, these gaps can mean the difference between life and death. And nowhere is that commitment more urgent than in our response to heart health. An unexpected crisis that can strike anyone, anywhere, at any time. Cardiac arrest remains one of the leading causes of death in our nation. Each year, more than 350,000 out-of-hospital cardiac arrests occur in the United States, and survival rates remain far too low. Nearly 70% happen at home, where a loved one is often the first and most critical link in the chain of survival. Immediate CPR can double or triple a person's chance of survival, yet too often, bystanders hesitate. Fewer than half of cardiac arrest victims receive CPR, and even fewer benefit from an automated external defibrillator known as AED. This affects adults and children alike. Over 23,000 children experience out-of-hospital cardiac arrest every year. We must also confront disparities. Women are less likely than men to receive CPR before responders arrive. Awareness, education, and community engagement can help close those gaps and save lives. Awareness, education, and community engagement can help close these gaps and save these lives. Heart disease remains the #1 killer of women in our country, responsible for 1 in 5 female deaths each year and claiming more lives than all cancers combined. Yet awareness still lags. Many women do not realize it is their greatest health risk, and symptoms often present differently than they do in men. That gap in recognition can delay care and cost lives. When we talk about prevention, CPR training, and rapid response, we're also talking about protecting mothers, daughters, sisters, and friends. That is why the American Heart Association's Go Red for Women movement, which continues to elevate awareness and empower women to take charge of their heart health, is so important. Another movement that deserves recognition is the American Heart Association's bold goal to double survival from out-of-hospital cardiac arrest by 2030 through its Nation of Lifesavers initiative. By expanding CPR and AED training, increasing public access to defibrillators, and strengthening cardiac emergency response plans in our schools, workplaces, and public spaces, they are empowering everyday people to become lifesavers. With that said, I am proud to formally recognize the American Heart Association. So therefore, now be it proclaimed through Chair Tara Lawson-Remer and all the members of the Board of Supervisors on this third day of March 2026 that we commend the American Heart Association for their outstanding service, leadership, and steadfast commitment to protecting and advancing the human rights of the residents of San Diego County, and do hereby declare this day to be American Heart Association Month through San Diego County.
Thank you, Supervisor Aguirre. and the San Diego County Board of Supervisors for this honor. My name is Emily Miller, and I'm the Community Impact Director for the American Heart Association. The Heart Association, devoted to changing the future to a world of healthier lives for all, envisions communities where people don't wait for help, they become it. So that in the face of a cardiac emergency, anyone, anywhere is prepared and empowered to become a vital link in the chain of survival and provide CPR. The goal is called the Nation of Lifesavers. At the very core of this initiative is a transformative idea. In every cardiac emergency, and the real first responder is not always a uniformed professional, but an everyday bystander. Cardiac arrest can strike anywhere, at the gym, in the grocery store, at a child's soccer game. However, bystanders only intervene about 40% of the time, often due to uncertainty or lack of training. 9 out of every 10 people who experience cardiac arrest outside the hospital die, in part because they do not receive immediate CPR more than half of the time. We want people to know that you do not need medical credentials to save a life. What's required is knowledge, courage, and the readiness to act. And familiarizing yourself with CPR can save a life. CPR is a civic duty. You don't need medical training to learn CPR. You need knowledge, courage, and the willingness to act. Heroism is not limited to uniforms. It's everyday people stepping up for others. Thank you again for this honor and for helping spread the awareness about CPR. Yes, of course.
Okay, the fifth proclamation will be given by Supervisor Anderson honoring Ramadan 2026. Accepting the proclamation is Imam Saad El Dagawe.
Come on, all. We can come on this side too. Good morning. Thank you all for being here today as we recognize the annual observance of the holy month of Ramadan here in San Diego County. Ramadan is a sacred time of fasting, prayer, reflection, and spiritual renewal observed by millions of Muslims around the world. It is a month that calls individuals to look inward, to strengthen their faith, and to recommit themselves to the values of compassion, service, generosity, and peace. Throughout this month, families and communities gather in prayer, share meals at sunset, extend charity to those in need, and deepen their sense of gratitude. These practices not only nurture spiritual growth, but they remind us of our shared humanity and responsibility to care for one another. As we observe the holy month of Ramadan, we honor the rich traditions that strengthen our community and invite greater appreciation of faith in all its expressions. For these reasons, I'm proud to recognize the annual observance of the holy month of Ramadan with this proclamation. I will now read the last paragraph. Be it proclaimed by the members of the Board of Supervisors this third day of March 2026 that we do hereby declare February 17th to March 19th, 2026 to be annual observance of Ramadan month throughout San Diego County. be patient with this. Ramadan Mubarak. I hope. Thank you. I still have a lot of practice. May this month bring you peace, blessings, and joy. Thank you. And I have this wonderful proclamation, but I think that you're going to say a few words.
Assalamu alaikum. Peace be upon you. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. In the name of God, the most gracious, the most merciful. At the beginning, I would like to thank all of you. Thank Supervisor Anderson, and of course, thank my community members who joined today. It's a great pleasure to be with you, to celebrate Ramadan, and to represent my Muslim community in San Diego, and also the Islamic Center of San Diego East County. We as Muslims observe Ramadan as a time of fasting, prayers, reflection, charity, and community. And Ramadan, as you may know, is not only about fasting from food and drinks, it is actually about purifying hearts, connecting more with God, and strengthen our faith, and also to become a better person spiritually, mentally, and socially. So God bless you all, and I will say what Supervisor said, Ramadan Mubarak. Blessed Ramadan to all of you, and thanks again. It's an honor to be here, and one more time I would like to thank Supervisor Anderson for his invitation and celebrating Ramadan with us. Ramadan Mubarak.
They're going to want us to go up there, but before we do, in my office, we take pride in giving credit where it's due. And with my good fortune, a former employee of mine, Ibrahim, if you'd come over here, come on, stand over here. This was his idea 5 years ago, and we've done it, and it's his legacy to my office. For as long as I'm in office, we'll continue to do it. Thank you for that. Thank you for your leadership. I'm still mourning the loss of you, but I'm so grateful that our city attorney hired you, because she's got quality staff now, so for sure. Thank you. Let's all go up there and do a quick photo. No, you go too. I'll go. And we're going to do what we did last time, where you're holding it with me. We probably need to move a little bit this way as well. If any of my colleagues would like to join us in the photo, you're welcome to join us. So I'm sorry for delaying you, but the Ramadan is too important to exclude anybody. We should have done that. We should have done it. Oh, sorry.
Okay, thank you all. Before we begin, I'll take a moment to address House rules. Public engagement is a cornerstone of transparent and accountable government. And these Board of Supervisors meetings are a primary venue where all San Diegans can make their voices heard. The county is committed to a work environment free from unlawful discrimination and harassment, including sexual, racial, religious, age, disability, and any other forms of discrimination or harassment. Under the board's rules, speakers may not use loud, shouting, threatening, impertinent, slanderous, profane, or abusive language to any members of the board, staff, or general public. Additionally, all remarks and questions must remain on topic during the duration of your speaking time and must be addressed to the board and not to county staff. Any speaker who engages in comments that break these rules will be issued a warning. After one warning, you will be asked to leave the chambers for the remainder of the meeting. Finally, speakers threatening violence may be reported to law enforcement and removed from the meeting. This is a space for community engagement, deliberation, and progress, not harassment, violence, and hate. Okay, we now proceed with non-agenda public comment. This is an opportunity for the public to address the board on subject matters within the board's jurisdiction, but not an item on the meeting's agenda today. The only action we may take is a referral to the CAO. Under the board's rules, speakers may speak once per meeting for non-agenda public comment either today or tomorrow, but not at both sessions, and you can select which to address at your convenience. We have 5 speakers in phone and 5 speakers in person, and the first 5 speakers in person have been randomly selected. The remainder of non-agenda public comment will be heard at the close of the session. Additionally, in accordance with board rules, for any discussion item with 10 or more speakers, individuals have 1 minute to share their opinion. According to Rule 4A, members of the public that are non-English speaking and need interpretation assistance receive twice the allotted time. And a final reminder, according to the board's rules of procedure, audience members shall not whistle, clap, stomp feet, or do anything that disrupts the proceedings. If you disrupt the meeting, you will be given 1 warning, and after that 1 warning, if you disrupt the meeting again, you'll be directed to leave the chamber for the remainder of the meeting. Andrew, please call the speakers.
Thank you, Chair Lawson-Remer. We have 17 requests to speak on matters not listed on the agenda, 7 individuals in person and 10 requesting to speak by phone. For those that requested to speak by phone, please dial into the conference line using the instructions that were provided to you. We'll begin with the in-person speakers and will now randomly select the first 5 speakers in person. All the remaining speakers will be heard at the conclusion of today's session. As your name is called, please come forward and stand on the arrows until it is your turn to speak at the podium. You will have 2 minutes to address the board, and I'll ask you to begin by stating your name for the audio record. I'd like to invite forward the first 3 randomly selected individuals, Ricky Robinson, Parita Javier, and Jennifer Roysden. And they'll be followed by allegedly Audra and Natalie Rajik. If I've called your name, please come forward.
Okay. Start there. Good morning. I am Parita Javier, the guy you supported for his election, re-election, and
read this. Just read it.
City Council President Sean L. Rivera, the guy you supported for his election, re-election. What's that?
Yeah, Madam
Stepe.
Monica Steve. Yeah.
Oh, what else?
Just read it, please. My wife now has memory winning, so please understand. This is a letter from Councilor Rivera.
Dear Cesar, thank you for reaching out to my office regarding your continued concerns over the air quality in your neighborhood and the bee apiary next to your residence. We've reached out to the city's code enforcement department and the country's air pollution control district who found no violations of either air quality standards or city code. I understand you are interested in pursuing policy changes.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
May I?
Caesar, we'll hear you in the afternoon. You weren't part of the first 5 that were randomly selected.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Sorry.
Ricky Robinson for Not Agenda. This grandfather belongs to Malika and Zaya. Take a good look. The most dangerous man in San Diego County is standing right here. That's right, me. Clutch your pearls, call the deputies, hide the furniture, hide your children. Because all that is happening here is a man speaking. In San Diego, the danger isn't violence, it's daylight. No arrests, no handcuffs, no police involvement, no violent scene, no emergency. Just a grandfather asking for his grandchildren back, a caregiver, a conservator, a trustee. RFA approved or not, they're still family, and family belongs together. And somehow that earns restraining orders, not because of danger, because corruption is being exposed, because the truth hurts, because ego does not like resistance. The problem isn't me, the problem is the light. The problem is that people are watching and people are not looking away. Say their names, Malika and Zaya, these girls belong home. Thank you. And this is also, I have a team and lawyers and advocates and journalists. We are now working on the federal review. This will be in federal court hopefully by 2027. But we want Malika and Zaya home. These are our children. They have been traumatized by child welfare here in San Diego. My family has been traumatized, tortured. I am a target here. I used to want to die here in San Diego, not anymore. Anyway, I wonder if I can get a picture taken with the board. Is it possible? I'm just asking.
Next speaker, please.
Hi, my name's Jennifer Roydston. Stop the child trafficking, wake up. Our taxpayers are funding for these pedophiles to live lavishly on the pain and suffering of our children. The County of San Diego Child and Welfare Services is directly responsible for our human trafficking problem. We have social workers that are lying, providing absolutely no evidence to remove these children. They are causing detrimental damage that cannot be reversed. You guys are the one over-medicating our children and not providing them for what they need, and that is their family. They were happy before you took them. You are here to help strengthen and unify. You're not here to take our children, make your lies up. This is the baby you stole from me, and I will not stop fighting. I will not stop yelling. I will make sure to make you famous. When I die, because you guys send your gang stalkers to stalk us, harass us, to make false reports against us in order to keep our children from us, I will still come back and make sure that you will serve justice. Know that we are working with a new government, and that government has no tolerance for what you guys have been doing for many, many years. I would like the respect for you to look at us when we're up here speaking, because what we're saying matters. It is our children, and every low-income family out there should care about what is happening, because this will be you. They take your children, they parent alienate him. You have these judges like Judge Calero, Judge Morales, who sit there and violate the color of law in order to profit on these incentives to remove our children. It's unacceptable.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Sat there and is welcome.
Ma'am, your time is up. Thank you. Just a reminder, please constrain your time and your remarks to the time allotted. If people are disruptive, I'm going to have to ask you to leave the chambers. Ma'am, this is officially your first warning. If you receive a second warning, you'll be instructed to leave the chambers for the remainder of the meeting.
Wow. It's interesting. It should be affecting everybody like this woman over here, the things that go on with children. And it doesn't seem to bother any of you, none of you. And it's really sad. So I'm going to ask you to put your money where your mouth is, that if you do care about children and them being trafficked, sexually abused, and mentally abused, all of the things that have been happening not only in our county, like with Malika and Zaya and Waylon and many other children that you guys have abducted. There's a march here at Waterfront Park on March 7th. I've given you guys all one of the flyers. So if you do care about children, I'm asking you to show up and march with us. It will be at 10 a.m. We're going to be marching around downtown. You guys want to say that you care about children being trafficked, right? Do we not have an item today talking about that and sexual exploitation? So if we're going to do that, then show up for this. Prove to us that you guys care about the children, especially in San Diego, let alone the rest of the world. I don't understand how this woman can be, that's how it affects people who actually have a soul. It breaks your heart. Amen. You can't just sit up there on a dais acting stone cold, because it shows that you guys don't have God in your heart. You sit up here, you pledge allegiance, right, to the United States of America, one nation under God. I don't know what God you guys are under, except for the one that rules this world, which would be Satan. And if you guys do care, then you will show up this Saturday at 10 a.m. at Waterfront Park and march around downtown with us. If you care about children, Jim, please show up.
Thank you. Natalie Rajik.
Good morning, Supervisors. My name is Natalie Reich. I am a parent in District 3. I'm here today because after making peaceful public comment at a Del Mar School Board meeting raising concerns about the mistreatment of my child, I was subjected to a campaign of harassment and retaliation. County JPA insurance defense attorneys proceeded to file multiple restraining orders. They moved the hearings to Judge Whitney, who used national security language to publicly label me a domestic terrorist. Public funds were used to subpoena my landlord, requesting personal documents that are irrelevant to school matters. Soon, I was receiving false notices to quit. Up until December, I maintained long-term employment. I supported my child and always paid rent on time. Despite this, purported landlord doing business under an unregistered fictitious name filed an unlawful detainer. Mandatory forms were signed under penalty of perjury by attorney Howard F. Burns. I filed a notice of removal to federal court. 2 days later, however, the clerk entered a default. Despite removal, notice of bankruptcy filings, and emergency applications to stay and vacate, the sheriff executed the clerk's writ. That same day, all of my child's and my belongings were removed from our 4-bedroom home. We remain homeless to this day. When I contacted nonprofits, I was told to sleep in the car with my minor child. Given the homeless crisis in San Diego, I respectfully request an investigation into court procedural safeguards and sheriff protocols when jurisdiction in bankruptcy is actively disputed. There is a hearing downtown, March 13th, 1100 Union Street, Department 201 at 9 a.m., addressing these issues, and I welcome transparency and oversight. And I welcome the opportunity to help in any way I can. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll now hear from the individuals that requested to speak by phone. Again, in accordance with the board's rules, we'll be hearing from the first 5 callers. The remaining callers will be heard at the conclusion of today's session. When it is your turn to speak, you will be unmuted and you will hear a recording that will tell you to begin your comments. We will start with our first caller.
Paul Bold. Do you remember when I said that we should let ICE self-implode on January 13th and January 28th? Or were you not listening? Anyway, ICE did it, and it brought down DHS along with it and all the good stuff it does. Well, I think that CFWB, the Child and Family Wellbeing Department, is also about to self-implode. Hopefully, you will listen better this time and publicly reform the CFWB process first. Publicly. Arabella McCormick lied about and neglected by the system and murdered. Andrea Ebbing abused, kids taken away by the system. Evelyn Lopez, kids taken away by the system. The 150 or more Polinsky Center abuse cases, along with the other abuse cases, people and animals. And now there's Delilah, who was starved to death at 3 months in 2021 by her unfit adoptive parents. The county created a safety plan, but the only actual visit was at 1 month. A child welfare plan without monitoring is not much of a plan. Does the board and county take care of its own and ignore all the harm to others that their policies cause after its action? More county neglect. The county is ruining the lives of too many kids and families. The AG is investigating the county's juvenile justice system. Also, I hear you are about to send kids in foster care illegally to the Dominican Republic. Congratulations to Ricky, Evelyn, and family and supporters.
Now hear from the next caller.
Hello, my name is Jaden Marshall. Back in November of 2024, my brother and I purchased a property in Ramona, California. Soon after, a mechanic moved in down the street from us, and since then they have clogged up a portion of the A Street between 10th Street and 11th Street in Ramona, California, and it's hurt my tenant's business, and he's lost business because larger trucks can't access our back parking lot. And he's also stopped getting some of his mail because I believe the street is too congested for them to access the mailboxes. And at best, the street is a single lane road. There are dumpsters in the middle of the road. There are extension cords coming from the building out across the street. There's engines blocking the sidewalks. If the board could look into this and maybe provide some sort of solution for us, that would be great. I believe that no overnight parking would be a great idea in that area, but that's just me. Any solution would be greatly appreciated. And we've went to Highway Patrol, and they have been very helpful, but it just persists. This issue keeps persisting, and it would require us to watch them 24/7 to monitor them for Highway Patrol to truly be able to be effective. And when they do come out, it works for about 3 days, and the problem continues to get worse. So the property address is 109 10th Street in Ramona, California. It's sitting on the corner of 10th and A Street.
Thank you. We'll now hear from the next caller.
Barbara Gordon. As a public health advocate, I was so thrilled to see American Heart Association recognized today. This is an important organization. As mentioned, we all need to take our heart health seriously, as high blood pressure is the most common underlying condition identified. We know from research that smoking is the major cause of high blood pressure, heart disease, and stroke. Most people with high blood pressure, known as hypertension, don't know they have it because no symptoms or warning signs, as it has earned the nickname of silent killer. As a Harvard research published in the Journal of American College of Cardiology found that people who smoke marijuana face a higher risk of dying of complications of high blood pressure, more than marijuana non-users. High blood pressure is preventable. Exercise, healthy diet, no smoking of any kind, marijuana or tobacco are the keys to keeping blood pressure under control. Understanding the risk of tobacco and marijuana use in cardiovascular health is essential. Again, I'm so thrilled that this organization was recognized for keeping our hearts healthy. I think by fostering more tobacco and marijuana prevention messages from the county would work towards a healthier, safer community. Thank you for letting me speak.
Thank you. Now hear from the next caller.
Good morning, Board of Supervisors. My name is Terry Ann Skelly. I'm a County Planning Group member, a parent, and a public health educator. Last week, KPBS interviewed Rady Children's Hospital pediatrician, Dr. Natalie Lobb, regarding the increase of 600 adolescents to its emergency room in 2025 because they needed treatment of some kind for their cannabis use. She said that, and I quote, prior to 2020, we were only seeing a handful of adolescents a year, maybe 20 or 30. Cannabis production, or rather cannabis products, are far more potent today than what previous generations were exposed to, end quote. PBS interviewed Dr. Lobb in response to the new research published in the Journal of American Medical Association regarding cannabis use with increased risk for serious mental health conditions. The strongest associations the study found was for psychotic and bipolar disorders, where the risk was about doubled. And importantly, teens reported on their cannabis use about 1 or 2 years before their mental health diagnosis. Again, Dr. Lobb is quoted, "We see the public health crisis emerging in children and young adolescents with early initiation of cannabis use," end quote. I think we as residents of San Diego County need to ask ourselves what this early use marijuana means for long-term well-being of our youngest residents and the many who care for them, and take responsibility for reducing visibility and promotions that come with selling marijuana here in our county. Thank you for hearing my concerns this morning.
Thank you. And Chair will now hear from our final speaker this morning. Again, all the remaining speakers will be heard at the conclusion of today's session.
Hi, Consuelo here. Good morning to all. There's so much happening in our county and around the world right now. What we're witnessing is not random. It's not random chaos. It's order out of chaos. Week after week, year after year, I have brought attention to how global agendas are being imposed on everyday people. Agendas like the United Nations frameworks for the 21st century and the so-called New World Order that centralizes power and strips individual freedom. Almost everything in modern life is imposed from government downward, taxes, regulations, mandates. The vast majority of people are not truly free. We're slaves to money and to the systems controlled by those in power. And I want to remind everyone here, especially those working in any government agency, that government moves slowly by design. Years and decades are required to implement policies once they are written. And during those years of implementation, distractions multiply. While people are watching headlines, the real changes are happening quietly, away from the notice. But this normalization of the unthinkable has come at a terrible cost. Our most vulnerable, the elderly, the children, have been abused, exploited, and trafficked. And here in our own community, there have been heartbreaking tragedies involving innocent children like Arabella McCormick, whose death revealed failures in the systems meant to protect her, and others whose suffering was preventable. I also want to mention how, this board continues to ignore the necessities of the people and overlook horrific injustices. I hope I mentioned Delilah as well. Don't know her.
Thank you. Again, Chair Lawson-Rima, that concludes the request for non-agenda public communication this morning. All the remaining speakers will be heard at the conclusion of today's session.
Okay, thank you. The next item on our agenda is the approval of the minutes and statements of proceedings for the general legislative session of February 10th and February 11th, 2026, and minutes for concurrent special district meeting of the San Diego County Fire Protection District. Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Motion by Supervisor Desmond, second by Chair Pro Tem Aguirre. Please vote.
Chair Lawson-Rima, that motion passes unanimously with all supervisors being present and voting aye.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. We now proceed with the formation of the consent agenda. This is items 1 through 12 and fire protection item 1. All items in the consent agenda are routine and will be acted upon with one motion. Individuals can comment on the consent agenda after the supervisors pull any items they would like to pull for discussion. Would any of my colleagues like to pull any items for discussion or have any comments on any items on the consent agenda? Andrew, please go ahead. I know there was an item that was pulled. Item 1 has been pulled. So the consent agenda today is items 2 through 12.
Thank you, Chair Lawson-Rima. Just to confirm for the record, item 1 has been withdrawn at the request of the sheriff.
Okay, thank you. Vice Chair Montgomery Stepp.
No need to pull any items. I will move the consent agenda.
Okay, thank you very much. Chair Pro Tem Aguirre.
No need to pull. I'll second.
Supervisor Anderson.
Nothing to pull. The only comment I have is I want to register a no vote on item 11.
So you'd like to bifurcate and measure?
Well, you can
no vote?
bifurcate it,
okay.
or I can just register the no vote.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
I'll just make a quick comment on item number 6. I think this item uplifts the importance of continued focus on expanding our work on protecting consumers and fighting to protect people in our economy who are getting taken advantage of by shady businesses, and continuing to expand that effort. I think we need more of that, more aggressive enforcement, more aggressive actions kind of across the board on just protecting fairness in our local San Diego economy and enforcing those against really unfair, deceptive, shady business practices that take advantage of seniors, young people, renters, really all of us. So I think we just gotta, I'm glad we're gonna continue expanding this at the county, and I think we should just continue looking for every opportunity to expand this fight and to build up our capacity to do this work that's so desperately needed for the people of San Diego. So that was my comment on item 6, and we will go to public comment.
Thank you, Chair Lawson-Remer. Before we begin public comment, I would like to note for the record that agenda item number 8 seeks approval to amend the compensation ordinance to change the salary schedule for the Chief Financial Officer classification. Pursuant to Government Code Section 54953, prior to taking final action, the legislative body shall orally report a summary of the recommendation for final action on the salaries, salary schedules, or compensation paid in the form of fringe benefits of local agency executives. The proposed salary will range from $250,224 to $395,678.40 and will become effective April 3rd, 2026. We have 12 requests to speak on items on the consent agenda, 4 in person and 8 requesting to speak by phone. As a reminder, item 1 has been withdrawn. Any individuals that requested to speak on the remaining items on the consent agenda by phone, please dial into the conference line using the instructions that were provided to you. We'll begin with the in-person speakers. As your name is called, please come forward and stand on the arrows until it is your turn to speak at the podium. You will have 2 minutes to address the board, and I'll ask you to begin by stating your name for the audio record. Also, when speaking, please identify which item or items on the consent agenda you are speaking about. I'd like to invite forward the individuals in person: allegedly Audra, Cesar Javier, Jennifer Roysden, and Ricky Robinson. If I've called your name, please come forward.
Good morning. Cesar and Purita Community Advocacy, District 9, under Elo Rivera leadership. Item number 1, please, let's also look at selective competitive procurement or bidding, name it, or contract, please. Number 2, no, it must be region-wide, please. God help. Number 11, yes, foremost, for the sake of health, public safety, and public welfare. Recommend 2, Madam Chair, that loose code rule 10 permit and 11 exemptions of 20 industrial and manufacturing businesses. I think loose department chief is here. All these staff are representing the 4 departments. Please, please, God help. Number 12, we received the communication, a declaration. I hope it fits this item. Ma'am Aguirre, you declared that people are sick and dying in the forefront border, Tijuana River Valley pollution. What have we done? What have we done? Councilor Vivian Moreno made a presentation. This crisis began in 1993, and the city, as one of the forefronts, did nothing. Not any single centavo was budgeted for Tylenol, for biscuit, or even for clean water or clean food.
Thank you.
God help.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Speaking of babies, Tara, do you have a bun in the oven, or is it a food baby? I don't know. Either way, be careful because the county might come after it. It's interesting to see what you guys do and you think is routine as far as human trafficking goes and sexual exploitation. Who's on this council? Like, you know, people like Elizabeth over here, her staff for CFWB, right? Child and Family Wellbeing. It's interesting. And also, you know, the district attorney, people that are engaged in actually human trafficking. Jim? That's why it's kind of funny, because it's like, what are you going to do with this money? Traffic more kids? How much money do you think you could possibly get for human trafficking? It's kind of like the topic right now, so I feel like you could really go and just suck the people, you know, just their blood money right out of them to traffic more kids. Because it's like me, when I got beat up here, you guys, you know, right out in the hallway by a sheriff. It was interesting. And then I'm like, I'm going to go to the sheriff and see if they'll help. Will there be justice? Even from you guys, and then you go to county council, right? And it's like, what are you talking about? Oh my gosh, women getting beaten up at the Board of Supervisors, children being trafficked? Oh my gosh, this stuff doesn't happen. We don't engage in that, which will be interesting to see if you show up, Jim, on Saturday. Because you guys sit here and you bring up items like this, and we have people come to you that have had their children ripped from their arms. And you guys just say, just do what the agency says, and they'll give you your kids back. It's interesting. That'd be funny if it actually worked that way, but it doesn't. So any money that you guys get is going to be used for misuse. And that's what you guys do with Title IV funding. It's a misuse of public funds that needs to be pulled back.
Next speaker, please.
Jennifer Roydston. I am here to speak about the child trafficking that's happening in our system. I encourage you, if you are participating, please find your money a better way. Why? Because our government is changing. We have a government that is in line with God. They are disgusted by the human trafficking that is happening in our system. And no, all the bombs that are going around our world right now, that's our president snipping. And if you think that he's not on his way to snip every one of you child traffickers that are participating in the trafficking of our children with these lying social workers that provide absolutely no evidence in order to steal these children, these ballless judges like Alexander Calero and Alejandro Morales, who don't care about your civil rights, the rights that people died for. And if you are a Christian and you are a Catholic and you believe in God, this is your fight. Because if you believe for 1 second that God is going to say, oh, it's okay, you let them slaughter my greatest gift to this world, and that's our children, you are wrong. He's not only a loving God, he is a vengeful God. And the destruction of our children matter. The slaughter of their minds matter. Our children are under attack. They are taking our children and they are using them against us. America, wake up and understand that you, if you're working, you are funding these fucking pedophiles. You are giving them nice cars, nice homes, and you should be turning to them and being like, huh, why am I working my ass off for you to sit there and get everything that you want?
Next speaker, please.
Okay, Ricky Robinson for Agenda 3. I really don't have a speech together. I just want to tell Malika and Zaya, I love you dearly. I missed you. I haven't seen you since August, and they don't want to let me see you till I'm like 70. You're trafficking my granddaughters here. They should have been home a year and a half ago. But let's see, I believe we've done the math. You've made millions off this family alone. But we want Malika and Zaya home. Child and Family Wellbeing, CWS, the most lying, corrupt social workers. You know what's great about it? The paper trail. They lie on paper. We're doing the investigation. They don't want to give me reports. I've already put, in for reports. They objected. They don't want the evidence, but that's okay. My son will give it to me. But lies on top of lies on top of lies. I've never seen such lying social workers. This is sick. Sick, and I'm exposing it. As long as I'm breathing, I'm exposing it. Restraining orders or not. Malika and Zaya, I love you. I'll see you again someday. You will be coming home.
We'll now hear from the individuals that requested to speak by phone. When it is your turn to speak, you will be unmuted and you will hear a recording that will tell you to begin your comments. We will start with our first caller.
Cal ID. We just had a huge conversation at Sandag about how arduous its law enforcement arm is providing data to ICE through us. data is not shared in this way and is otherwise totally secured. The cloud is easily hacked as well. IBM, on the other hand, provides servers which are more secure. Check it out. 3, human trafficking. You know all about trafficking, don't you? The county already has a multi-agency San Diego human trafficking task force that combines sex trafficking, child exploitation, a collaborative effort involving federal, state, and local law enforcement, including the FBI, HSI, and the DA office. A major objection to this is that the amendment has only 2 street people, victims, and no children. 2 out of 20. I would expect lots of business, corporate, political argument about the abuse, not much from the
Paul, your device might be muted. We'll come back to you. You have 33 seconds remaining. Go to the next speaker.
Hi, good morning, Supervisors. I'm speaking to item number 4. As you consider ratifying the 2026 Consolidated Fire Code and Wildland Urban Interface Code, I appreciate the emphasis on defensible space, sprinklers, and home hardening. Those seem like good ideas, but I also would ask that we think about one of the most preventable ignition sources in high fire risk areas, which is smoking. Discarded cigarettes remain a known cause of vegetation fires, especially in dry, wind-prone conditions like we experience in unincorporated San Diego County. As access to high-potency marijuana products has expanded, we're also seeing more outdoor smoking in rural and wildland-adjacent areas. In communities where response times are longer and many residents are older or medically vulnerable, a single preventable spark can have devastating consequences. If we are strengthening water tank requirements and defensible space enforcement, I hope the county will also examine whether smoking restrictions and public education in high fire severity zones are strong enough, especially during red flag conditions. Wildfire resilience isn't only about how we build homes, it's also about reducing avoidable ignition risks. Thank you for your leadership on fire prevention and community safety.
Thank you. Now hear from the next caller.
Consuelo, 3. Okay, 3 first. It's a shame that we live in a world where child trafficking is even placed casually in a consent calendar. The fact that this is routine enough to be procedural should disturb every person in this room and listening in. Child trafficking is not a distant issue. It's a massive issue. And for those of you who are just waking up to this reality, understand this. It is worse than what you are being told. Children are not commodities. They are not statistics. They are not line items. So when this board treats matters connected to exploitation as routine paperwork, it sends a message, and the message is detachment. Item 6, Supervisor Tara Lawson-Remer mentioned shady businesses. I'd like to talk about a major shady operation, and that is the way this county board conducts itself. When decisions are made that the public barely understands, when consent items move with little discussion, when policies increase financial pressure on families while expanding government control, that is not transparency, that is not service, that is shady as fuck. It is governance that operates in the shadows. And Tara, since you raised the issue of shady, let's talk directly. When you repeatedly cut off a disabled resident who prepares and researches his remarks, that is not fairness. That is shady control. When public comment is managed in a way that feels dismissive and selective, people notice. You appear very confident about extending terms and expanding your time on the seat. If that happens, I actually welcome it because I will be here too. For as long as you hold this position, I will continue to call you up. I will continue to remind this county how you conduct yourself.
Thank you. We'll hear from the next caller.
Good morning, Board of Supervisors. My name is Becky Rapp, and I'd like to speak to item 3 first, addressing human trafficking and the sexual exploitation of children. And it should be the utmost priority. But you cannot address human trafficking without also addressing drug addiction and drug trafficking. These crises are deeply interconnected. Traffickers frequently use drugs as a tool of control, creating dependency, exploiting addiction, and trapping victims in cycles that are incredibly difficult to break free from. At the same time, drug trafficking networks and human trafficking operations often overlap, feeding off the same vulnerable populations. As you consider establishing this critical Child Advisory Council, I urge you to ensure that substance use prevention, addiction treatment access, and drug trafficking be fully integrated into this framework. Youth involved in child welfare or the juvenile justice system, runaway and homeless youth, and individuals struggling with addiction face disproportionate risk. We focus only on one side of the equation without confronting the drug pipelines that fuel this evil cycle. We will fail. I support creating the Advisory Council, but true prevention requires a whole system response. Law enforcement, prosecution, health services, behavioral health, and survivor support working together to address both human trafficking and the drug trade that so often fuels it. If we're serious about protecting children and helping survivors heal and thrive, we must address both crises at the same time. Thank you.
Thank you. Hear from the next caller.
Hey, it's Truth. Item 2, no to a $2 tax on registration where the state demands innocent people's fingerprints in order to pay for a fingerprint system for criminals. No conflict there. Item 3, are you saying it took 15 years to create bylaws for the Trafficking and Exploitation of Children Advisory Council in the biggest human trafficking hub in the country? This board in summer has failed hard at protecting children in Brazeau, Logan, and National City, not to mention CPS. Item 4, nobody who owns a house supports these expensive demands from the county, including expecting homeowners to provide their own water for fires the state will allow to burn, just like in the Palisades in Altadena, while the county promotes battery energy storage fire facilities. Item 5, no to over $1 million tax dollars to racist lab, a spire that claims that different ethnicities are born unhealthy. Talk about racist eugenics. Item 6, if terrorists supports this, then I do not, because there's more fraud perpetrated by the county than there is in private business. That's a fact. Item 7, no to any building for a grand jury that gives joke names to the reports full of loopholes and devoid of facts. Item 8, a $99 million raise to the sheriffs because this board pushed countless officers out of state thanks to destructive lockdown policies and clout shot demands. Item 9, a $3 million raise to the probation officers, maybe because the state keeps letting out violent sexual predators out of prison early as part of the destructive new scum agenda. Item 10, NCTD not having a conflict of interest is a joke, and the school boards are as badly conflicted as the transit agencies. Item 11, no to wasting $165,000 of forced union grifter demands of an unrealistic $25 minimum wage for private events already paying to use public land. These hypocrites can't even manage labor standards at local restaurants using illegal slave labor, let alone at parks. This is nothing but a kickback to the campaign funders of the progressives. People are going to stop putting on events at county parks that'll go just as well as paid parking at Balboa Park. And why was item 1 withdrawn? Was a $13.9 million contract with United Healthcare Services withdrawn because the progressives were filled with...
Thank you. We'll hear from the next caller.
Gambler Hermes. You know, the sheriff that called me regarding the restraining order also recognized I could find election fraud organized within 8 hours. Hell, Sean Brom could go ahead and do it the same amount of time. He knows exactly where it is. He knows how to go ahead and find it. Why don't you look? Why are you more persistent in trying to throw me in jail, get me in some kind of program where you could take away my rights using the SB, 34 or something like that, instead of just looking? Hell, why do you guys go ahead and pretend that you care about equality or even our environment when you refuse to adopt Julian Brown's technology? Is it because Congress is going ahead and paid 2 universities to build a lesser version of that? I mean, right now, we could have been generating money from our landfills that could pay for half of the crap that you're trying to do. But instead of that, you're trying to taking it from the people. Why is it that you protect these child traffickers? Are they registering people falsely to get you guys elected? I'm pretty sure of it. I'm, a matter of fact, almost guaranteed of that. That is why that you guys are so persistent in protecting the NVRA subsection 7 and 8, right? Damien, you know you cannot protect that law forever. And especially if you're going after me, trying to throw me in jail, I have right to it. If you want me to go through court, I'll go ahead and do that. But I really, really don't want to. I want you to do the right thing. I want you to do that investigation. I want Sean Braun to be honest with me when he said he can't do anything until he is the boss. Now he is. I'm hoping he was honest with me. If not, whatever. We're all.
Thank you. Now hear from the next caller.
Good morning, Board of Supervisors. Ann Riddle. I came to speak to 1, 3, 5, 10, and 11, but I understand 1 has been pulled. Be very curious to know why. I had some concerns that this was, 1, a single source contract, and that it's a contract with the same people as we've had, and there's been some legal concerns there. I'm especially concerned about number 3. This is where consent really lets us down. We needed an opportunity to discuss this under a discussion item. This is serious and important matter, and the optics for this county, the county residents watching the decisions you make about children, colors how we feel about you and your capacity to make good policy that protects children. And to wash it away by putting it on consent seems really unfortunate. And even when it comes back, it's going to come back again under consent. That seems extraordinarily unwise in these times. I'm concerned, as was mentioned previously, that you're leaving out some of the important work, and that's the role of drug trafficking in its relationship to child trafficking. They are interwoven. And I noticed excluded from this advisory group is any prevention work. You have several robust community-based alcohol, tobacco, marijuana prevention groups here in our county, and they should be included. They are well aware of what it takes to protect children. They lead in this county in protecting children, particularly from the predatory issues, policies, approaches, advertising, promotions that come from these industries. We need their voice because these industries do target children, and we need the voice of those who try to prevent this from happening. Let's take a new look at this. This is an opportunity. It's been in the making for a while.
Thank you. Well, now we'll go back to Paul the Bold, where you had 33 seconds remaining.
I'm the microbiologist training. It's the TB on NPS go around. Also, recurring infections, even if you're vaccinated. It would also be nice if we were from where they help realignment, the money could be for ordinances on.
Thank you. And Chair Lawson-Remer, that concludes public comment on the items in the consent agenda.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor from Vice Chair Montgomery Steppe, a second from Chair Pro Tem Aguirre. Please vote.
Chair Lawson-Remer, that motion passes unanimously, noting for the record that Supervisor Desmond registered a no vote on item 11. The remaining items pass unanimously with all supervisors being present and voting aye.
Okay, thank you all very much. We now move on to the discussion items 13 through 17 and Fire Protection District 2. Due to some of the longer presentations, we need to reorder the agenda for today. So we're going to hear the items in the following order. Item 17, then item 16, item 13, and Fire Protection 2 taken concurrently, item 14, and then item 15. Again, 17, 16, 13, FP2, item 14, 15. So we now move on to discussion item 17, exploring reforms to county medical services. This is an item that I introduced along with my colleague, Vice Chair Montgomery Steppe. This item comes out of the work that we've been doing on the safety net subcommittee. So to Supervisor Desmond's ongoing request that the committees report back, here we are reporting back. So let me just say a couple opening remarks to kind of give some context to this item, which I obviously think is quite important. Because of HR 1, we all know that hundreds of thousands of low-income San Diegans are at risk of losing their health insurance next year. The work that we've been doing in the Safety Net Committee has done a pretty deep dive on those numbers and numbers of individuals at risk, why they're at risk, how they're at risk, and what the parameters of those risks are as in terms of the threats it poses to our broader healthcare system. So when we know that we have to do something to address this pretty significant shortfall, we know that when people lose coverage, they do not just stop getting sick. What actually happens is they skip their checkups, they don't get their prescriptions, they delay their care, their condition then worsens, and they inevitably end up in the emergency room, which is the most expensive place in our entire hospital system to receive care. It's not only the worst outcome for patients, which I think is obvious if you have skipped preventative care and you end up in an emergency, it also is extremely expensive. I think any of us who have been to an emergency room know firsthand what it looks like when it's all hands on deck, when the hospitals are prepared to respond to an emergency, life-threatening condition. It is a very, very expensive way of providing care. So we know that those costs to our ERs will continue to increase, in part because there will be more and more individuals accessing those emergency rooms when they're not able to receive preventative care. In America, you don't leave people on the sidewalk to die, thankfully. There's a lot of things about our healthcare system that are horrifying in terms of people's inability to access the care that they need and deserve. But at the very least, we do know that people don't just get left to die on the sidewalk when they show up at an ER, which is what happens in many other countries. So what happens in reality is not that people disappear, it's that these hospitals are forced to absorb millions of dollars in providing uncompensated care. And this means that everybody pays that cost. It's not only that the uninsured residents that I was just mentioning are getting sicker and are ending up in the ERs and dying. It also means that emergency rooms are crowded, hospitals have to figure out how to balance their books somewhere and are facing service cuts. And ultimately, this means our entire hospital system is under enormous strain from the cuts. Very concretely, how do hospitals manage this? In part by increasing insurance costs for those of us who have insurance. and are lucky enough to have insurance, and in part by cutting services for everybody, because there's really no other way for the hospitals to continue operating as institutions if they're not cutting services somewhere. So that means for everybody in our entire hospital care system, waits get longer, it becomes harder to see doctors, it becomes harder to see specialists. Even if you have health insurance, your health insurance, the quality of that insurance and your ability to actually access care will go down. So this is a great concern. I have been really focused, along with Vice Chair Montgomery Stepp, of doing everything we can to protect the residents of San Diego, not just those who are losing insurance, but everyone, all 3.3 million of us, from the very severe impacts coming our way in terms of access to quality health care in San Diego County. We have to acknowledge that previously, decades ago, there was a program, this County Medical Services program, that was fairly active as the program of last resort in San Diego County for those who didn't have health insurance. But it really has become pretty much defunct. I think we had one person for a while, then 5, then maybe 14, then like 11. It really just not a program that was active at all. And the reason for that was that when President Obama passed the Affordable Care Act, this did two things. It expanded Medicaid, and it also created opportunities for people to get private insurance through Covered California. And so the kind of combination of expansion of Covered California and expansion of Medicaid really eliminated the need for county medical services in any kind of real way, because people's health care was being provided primarily through their employer, secondarily through Covered California, and thirdly through Medicaid for those who did qualify, which there were quite significantly more people. So in any case, to just continue putting this in context and why we brought this forward with urgency today, the rolling back of Medicaid, which is going to, along with, by the way, the reduction in the ability of hospitals and providers to access provider payments, which is sort of a more complicated way that hospitals have historically received reimbursements for care. But the pressures they're receiving on both ends of fewer patients qualifying for reimbursed Medicaid, and the reduction of any kind of basically state payments that would then allow the hospitals to cover operating costs, is going to, starting January 1, put a very, very, very significant strain on our entire hospital system. So again, just kind of to wrap back around to how this impacts the county. Under California state law, counties, all counties, not just San Diego County, all counties are the healthcare safety net provider of last resort. That is not an option. That is not something we can think about. That's actually our legal mandate. But unlike other large counties, we do not run a public hospital system. So we, as a county, rely on community clinics and hospitals to carry that responsibility with us. And the way that we fulfilled that obligation historically, when we had folks, a large number of folks that were uninsured, was through the County Medical Services Program. So that's what this that is the context of this item today, is to really begin to lay the groundwork and prepare for the pretty significant strain that's coming to our hospital systems, and to kind of dig in and make a plan so we're not blindsided on the 1st of January. And I will turn the floor over to my colleague, Vice Chair Montgomery Stepp.
Thank you so much, Chair Lawson-Remer. Thank you for your partnership on this board letter. And I just want to clarify a couple of things. I'll be brief. There have been and will continue to be many board actions to respond to harmful federal proposals that threaten healthcare and food access for San Diegans. I think this is something I've heard from this dais that majority of us are concerned about. In November of last year, I did bring forward an item to the board to help residents who will temporarily lose Medi-Cal and CalFresh coverage due to paperwork errors and eligibility changes that are listed in HR 1. So this item is distinct from the Safety Net Bridge program, which is meant to help serve residents who temporarily lose that coverage and then get them reconnected with services, but provide them sort of a bridge in the meantime. County Medical Services, as you have heard, it's a state-mandated service that provides health care coverage for low-income adults who don't qualify for Medi-Cal and can't afford private insurance. Some of this is repetitive, but I'm going to repeat it because it can be a little bit nuanced and complicated. After the Affordable Care Act expanded Medi-Cal eligibility, many previously uninsured San Diegans were able to gain coverage that way. As a result, CMS enrollment decreased, program was reduced to state required minimum. And so that was a positive development. We're seeing a clawback on all of those things. So it is our responsibility to be prepared for what may come. So want to just note about our current San Diego County Medical Services. It is one of the most restrictive programs of its kind in California. San Diego County residents must have significantly lower income to qualify for CMS services than other residents in other California counties. And at the same time, low-income participants must agree to a lien being placed on their property, a needlessly restrictive condition that no other county in the state imposes. So these provisions are the remnants of sort of a different era here at the county. And so I think we're looking to see how we can change those things and make this programming more accessible to people who may need these services. So I appreciate the partnership again, and that concludes my comments. Happy to move the item, but if you prefer to after public comment, that's fine.
No, go ahead. That's great. Thank you. We have a motion by Vice Chair Montgomery Stepp. I'll second the item, and we'll go to public comment.
Thank you, Chair Lawson-Remer. We have 16 requests to speak on this item, 10 in person and 6 requesting to speak by phone. Also note for the record that we received 1 e-comment in support. For any individuals that requested to speak on item 17 by phone, please dial into the conference line using the instructions that were provided to you. We'll begin with the in-person speakers. As your name is called, please come forward and stand on the arrows until it is your turn to speak at the podium. Because there are 10 or more speakers on this item, you'll have 1 minute to address the board. And I'll ask you to begin by stating your name for the audio record. I'll call you in groups of 3, so I'll ask you to please listen for your name. I'd like to invite forward the first 3 individuals, Samantha Schwimmer, allegedly Audra, and Lindsay Wade. If I've called your name, please come forward.
Good morning. My name is Samantha Schwimmer. I'm here on behalf of the California Pan-Ethnic Health Network and the San Diego Health Table. I thank Chair Lawson-Remer and Vice Chair Montgomery Stepp for bringing forward this item and starting the conversation about much-needed reforms to our county medical services program. Our county is experiencing a healthcare crisis with over 300,000 residents at risk for losing Medi-Cal due to new federal work requirements, and 75,000 San Diegans at risk for losing Medi-Cal because of their immigration status. San Diegans are having to delay preventative and primary care and lapse in taking their prescribed medications. This increases the likelihood for serious, life-threatening illnesses, which put a larger strain on our county resources and make our communities less safe. We are asking the board to update the eligibility requirements, modify the age minimum to 19, eliminate the citizenship or legal permanent resident requirement, and thank you.
As the next speaker is coming forward, I'll invite 3 additional speakers, Cesar Javier, Clint Carney, and Pamela Eisen. If I've called your name, please come forward and stand on the arrows. Thank you.
You guys are good. I love how you can say these things with a straight face and really, try and get people to believe your bullshit, that you don't lead people to die. You don't before you rob their organs, their money, take their home, things like that, right? And preventative care, and you're going to protect all 3.3 million of us? Oh my gosh, that is so exciting. I think that what is more exciting is these funds being cut. It's fantastic because what you guys use that for is these children to go mutilate their bodies. That's one thing. Medicare and Medicaid is used in the hospitals to deal with foster children that they hide sexual abuse of, right, Elizabeth? And Rady's does that. They're really good at damaging children. But yeah, I think this is fantastic because like what you guys also do with that is that you think that there is, you're gonna help heart health when, why don't you guys stop vaccinating people with bioweapons? Paloma, see you next Tuesday.
Next speaker, please.
Chair Lawson-Remmer, Vice Chair Montgomery Stepp, and members of the Board of Supervisors, good morning. I'm Lindsay Wade, Senior Vice President at the Hospital Association of San Diego and Imperial Counties. We represent every hospital and health system across the two-county region. We are here today in strong support of this item to evaluate reforms to county medical services. By initiating this evaluation now, San Diego County is stepping forward as a statewide leader in proactively strengthening its safety net infrastructure. This moment builds on years, honestly decades, of advocacy and partnership to ensure the county fulfills its statutory responsibility as the provider of last resort. We appreciate the board's willingness to take this step. This item is fundamentally about protecting patients. A significant wave of health coverage losses is approaching, and we must act now to protect the stability of our healthcare system. Our emergency departments continue to experience record high volumes, and additional coverage losses and gaps in outpatient access will only intensify this pressure, affecting timely care for all patients. We commend you for your forward thinking and stand ready to collaborate.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Hello, Supervisors. My name is Clint Carney. I am a resident of District 3. I'm with Survivors of Torture International, also a part of the San Diego Immigrant Rights Consortium and the San Diego Health Table of the California Pan-Ethnic Network. I appreciate you bringing this item forward and considering expanding the eligibility of who can participate in this program. Even if it's a loan program, other options are always important to bring forward. It's important to know that the Refugee Resettlement Program is a loan program. So refugees are vetted many times before they come to the United States, but before they get on the plane to come here, they have to sign a promissory note to pay back the expenses of being resettled in the United States. So that's an important factor to consider when discussing who you're allowing into the program. Asylum seekers are not undocumented. They have alien registration numbers. They have asylum applications. They have court dates. They are known in the system. So thank you for considering.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Good morning, honorable members of the board. My name is Pam Eisen, and I'm speaking on behalf of Sharp Healthcare, standing in strong support of this item. Thank you, Chairwoman Lawson-Remmer and Supervisor Montgomery Stepp for bringing this forward and making it a priority. Sharp is proud to serve more than 1 million county residents each year. That's nearly a third of our residents, and we see firsthand how critical the healthcare safety net is for our communities. At a time when emergency departments are already experiencing record high volumes, we fear that coverage losses will only intensify the pressure and affect timely care for everyone. So at the core, this item is about protecting patients, and Sharp Healthcare strongly supports this proactive effort and stands ready to be a partner in strengthening the county's healthcare safety net. Thank you so much.
Thank you. As the next speaker is coming forward, I'd like to invite 3 additional speakers. Casey Shirk.
Cesar and Purita,
Cesar.
District 9.
Caesar, just a moment, please. I'm going to call 3 additional speakers. Casey Shirk, Monica Montano, and Jennifer Roysden. Caesar, please come. You can speak at the podium. Caesar, come on up, please.
Aging. We attended the Aging and Independent Advisory Board. We also attended this Health Environmental Quality. We also attended this ISSS, SSS, Public Authority, and all advisory board. And we volunteered to be a member. Did you receive our application, Ma'am? Ma'am Step? Ma'am Rainier? Sir Desmond? Our advice is uproot the root cause. so that these medical expenses would be a little bit affordable for the less, particularly the victims. 10,000 victims as calculated by APCD, Tijuana River pollution. Do you think it's only 10,000, ma'am? No. What about the dead? God help. We work together, yes.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Hello, everyone. Good morning. My name is Casey. I am a proud SEIU Local 221 member, and I have been a human services specialist for the last 2 years. Right now, we are preparing for the impact of the big, beautiful bill. I am a very proud resident of District 1, and I can tell you that the good people of my community are already struggling fighting poverty and the ongoing ICE raids. People have 3 basic needs to ensure survival. That is food, shelter, and health care. The big, beautiful bill attacks all 3, whether it is directly or indirectly, but it is healthcare and housing costs that put my neighbors out on the streets. My community should not have to continue to choose between health and housing. Additionally, this has created more barriers for my clients to receive Medi-Cal as caseload increases for self-sufficiency services, causing longer wait times. That's going to continue to be an issue. No one should be without health care. Vote yes on item 17. Thank you.
Thank you. As the next speaker is coming forward, I'd like to invite the final speaker in person, Dr. Chris Tomaszewski.
Good morning, honorable members of the board. My name is Monica Montaño, and I am here on behalf of Scripps Health. For more than a century, Scripps has been dedicated to serving the health and wellness needs of San Diego County. We appreciate the thoughtful revisions being considered to improve County Medical Services Program, including eligibility standards and modernization of enrollment processes, efforts to eliminate CMS lien requirements, and the expanded virtual application option. The proactive measures you are considering are crucial to protecting healthcare access to our most vulnerable patients. Today, healthcare providers are facing significant challenges. H.R. 1 will cut Medicaid funding by $1 trillion over the next decade by imposing stricter eligibility requirements, work mandates, and frequent redeterminations on the people we serve. We appreciate these efforts to enhance access and modernize systems to better serve our community. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Hello, my name is Jennifer Roydston. My father came from Colombia, my mother came from Mexico. They did it the right way. They came here legally, not illegally. Our hospitals are over flooded because we are paying for people that shouldn't be here. And it's not being inhumane. You go back, you do it the right way, and our medical facilities won't be suffering the way that they are. All this immigration, ICE bullshit, bottom line, you come here legally. Every country has walls, and America should too. Why? Because our cities wouldn't have gotten ravaged like they did when all you guys let all those people through our border. Now, if you want to stay in our country, you do it legally. That's all we're asking, legally.
Next speaker, please.
Chair Lawson-Remmer, Vice Chair Montgomery Stepp, thank you for allowing me to speak. You're spot on. I'm Dr. Chris Tomaszewski. I'm a practicing emergency physician in San Diego County, and I'm experiencing what you're talking about firsthand. As you know, as an academic medical center, we have the honor of being part of the safety net for the entire county. Not only that, we have the honor of training new physicians, doing research, and taking care of our most complex patients. And I know from firsthand that a disproportionate number of them now face significant barriers to coverage and care and come to us for help. And I don't know if you've been in an emergency department lately, but you're right. It is bursting at the seams. We have a sustained record high demand. We have patients waiting days, not hours, days for inpatient beds. So I ask you that you help strengthen our county medical service function in this unique healthcare landscape and help our most disadvantaged, vulnerable citizens, and that in turn will help all of us. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll now hear from the individuals that requested to speak by phone. When it is your turn to speak, you will be unmuted and you will hear a recording that will tell you to begin your comments. We will start with our first caller.
But this one does make a lot of sense. Recommendation 2, have suggestions. Hello? Can you hear me?
Hi, Paul. You can hear you, but your phone it doesn't appear to be very stable.
I have not. It keeps muffling. Anyway, so I have a few recommendations. For recommendation 2, 1, find doctors or other medical people who are willing to work at this rate or accept vouchers for future payment. 2, make sure that the legal immigrants are covered under the laws of their country of origin, not ours. 3, use of less expensive natural treatments, which might take place of big pharma treatments. They're generally less expensive, have fewer side effects.
Thank you. Hear from the next caller.
Some follow here. Okay, so another lens. Let's call it what it is. It's not healthcare. It's sick care. A system that profits from chronic illness is not designed to eliminate illness. A patient heals is revenue lost. When the pharmaceutical dependency becomes a primary solution offered struggling residents, people start to question the incentives behind it. A population heavily medicated is easier to manage than a population truly restored to strength and independence. Tara, you said, in America, we don't leave people on the sidewalks to die. That sounds compassionate, but the reality is, in this county, there's a different story, lady. Every year, hundreds of unhoused residents die on our streets. Every year, families bury loved ones who cycle through the system that never truly restored them. If this item were truly about health, we would be talking about prevention, root causes, nutrition, environment, trauma, recovery, not just.
Now hear from the next caller.
Good morning. My name is Becky Raff, and I appreciate this item and agree that the county has both a legal and moral obligation to serve as the provider of last resort. That responsibility is very important. However, this staff report does not address a growing strain on our healthcare system. According to recent data highlighted by Rady Children's Hospital San Diego, marijuana exposures among children, particularly from edible products, have quadrupled in recent years. Many of these cases require emergency department treatment and in some instances hospitalization, significantly overloading our EDs. Our pediatric emergency systems are already under pressure, and if we are anticipating additional coverage losses and increased uncompensated care, we must also account for the preventable drivers of those who come to the hospitals, children and young adults suffering from marijuana poisoning. This program must include a full assessment and a detailed look into hospitals impacted by marijuana misuse. Thank you.
We'll now hear from the next caller.
Hey, it's Truth. One of the crying allegations against the federal government, this item is really about the related state actions, which means the new scum agenda struck again. There's cuts to Medi-Cal because the state and this board allowed illegal aliens to overwhelm the health system for 5 years straight. It's called consequences. Eligibility standards tighten, translates to the feds now requiring able-bodied people to at least try to get a job. This item is a late agenda item because it's more fear-mongering in order to justify this county later creating a government-controlled socialist hospital system. Ask Canadians who wait for months just for an appointment how well that works out. They come here for their surgeries. The county currently can't even keep up with their own hospital bills. How would expanded coverage result in paid bills this time if suddenly everyone's eligible via revisions to the standards, aka a free-for-all? With branding and renaming of the program, aka straight propaganda, with an evaluation of fiscal impacts only to be ignored later. Which union grifter wrote this hot garbage? How much is the kickback this time? I'd like to know. Get a job. Do something real with your life.
Here for the next caller.
I got a question. After you guys steal the next election, you know, with the unions and all that stuff, are you going to reverse some of your bridges that you're doing? Because federal government wants accountability, meaning we've donated money to these programs. We haven't seen anything, especially for the people that actually live here. I mean, you're giving a lot away to brand new immigrants that you went ahead and fast-tracked above everyone else. Therefore, you need to give them, you know, supplies and make sure that they get integrated into our system as quick as possible. You did a good job, by the way, in moving people and keeping the people that speak English here and providing them schools so that it could integrate a lot better. I'll give you that. So my question is, are you going to keep that whole $10,000 program where these people get paid $10,000 for moving a kid away from their family into another family? Or is that still going to be added on, plus you get all...
Chair Lawson-Remer, that concludes public comment on this item.
Okay, thank you all very much. We have a request to speak by my colleague, Supervisor Anderson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm not sure who to address these questions to. As I went through this, and I agree with the premise, we know that emergency rooms carry a terrible burden and our resources are short. But when I looked, the ad hoc subcommittee, did it have any meeting agendas or minutes or any notes to share with anybody on what you discussed and how you discussed it? And let me put it into criteria so that when you answer it, acute care hospitals are not located in the unincorporated. However, we have community health centers that do acute care, and in the language we exclude them. I'd like to see why we would exclude them and why we wouldn't include them, and perhaps you could address how these recommendations were developed, because I'm not, again, I didn't see any minutes or agendas or lists of people who you spoke with or how you developed these recommendations.
Let me just answer the question about acute care, in that based on these recommendations, I think if I understand what you're getting at around that is that you want to make sure that members of the incorporated communities are receiving every level of care that they can, and that no one is left out of this process as we explore how to expand our CMS services. And CMS services, from my understanding, covers the very population that you're talking about. And so I think so for that concern is what I'm hearing, that this recommendation is certainly all encompassing. So the second thing I'll say, and I think the chair can comment on this more, but this conversation, we really were steeped in a consultant that we had come and present to us that we're trying to get to this board meeting. But based on her schedule, we want to have her come and present to the entire board, because she is decades-long, has decades-long experience in arenas at every level of government. And so we are still working on that and getting her before the full board, but still think that we can do those in conjunction with doing the additional background work that we need to do before we take any real action on any reforms. And so that is something that we requested of her And that really was the crux of the conversation around CMS within that subcommittee meeting. So that's coming forward, moving forward, and my hope is that it's sooner than later.
Yeah, let me just add to that. I agree. We both really wanted to have J.C. Cooper here today, who is really the driver, the consultant that the county has hired to sort of help us analyze, what are the impacts that we're looking at on our healthcare system. And she did like a really in-depth presentation about our vulnerabilities, and that was this kind of the call to action for us to move this in an urgent way. She wasn't able to be here today. She has a meeting. But I did ask her if she could come as soon as possible. So she's looking at hopefully being able to come to our next board meeting. And I would love to just kind of put out there that I do think this is a conversation that our whole board should be involved in. It's really important. And this is sort of like a question to my colleagues. If she's not able to make it to our next board meeting, would folks be interested in having some kind of special session to kind of hear her analysis and how what she's seeing on our community? Because it's been a scheduling issue. So, okay, I'm getting a yes from Supervisor Anderson. Okay, that's great to hear. I've been reluctant to try to schedule a special session because I wasn't sure if folks would be able to attend, but if that's something people are interested in, would definitely love to do that and kind of bring everyone into this conversation as we go along. So I think that's really important. And to answer your question, I think one of the things, and again, we'll get more of this when she's able to come, but I think to your concern, Supervisor Anderson, about the folks in the rural part of San Diego County, the data that we saw from J.C. Cooper is that you're right, that actually the people in your district are going to be like very severely impacted. And so we anticipate that this work will pretty significantly address exactly that population. And to be honest, folks in your district, in Supervisor Montgomery Stepp's district and Supervisor Aguirre's district are sort of really front and center. Just to add on to Supervisor Aguirre, coming out of the conversations, I think there's been a concern raised about the vulnerability of the hospital system, specifically in your district, and the potential for a hospital to potentially have to close if we don't do something pretty dramatic to kind of backstop what's happening. So again, this is like a countywide issue. Your district's pretty significantly impacted. This is Supervisor Aguirre's and Vice Chair Montgomery Stepp. And it would be great to have a broader conversation. We didn't want to wait. I think the kind of urgency was we need to get moving because it's going to take quite a while to like have these consultations and have these conversations to try to figure out what we can do about changing the way that we operate with CMS. But my preference, I would say, would have had to have J.C. Cooper here today, but we didn't want to wait on this like really time-sensitive item for her to be able to come. So I think my commitment to you would be if you all can make yourselves available for a session, hopefully we can either get here at the next meeting, and we can have this kind of robust conversation. And if not, I would love to schedule a special session with her.
In a follow-up, so I didn't know you were working with J.C. Cooper. Otherwise, I would have Googled to find out more about, is it an individual or a company?
It's a person. You should Google her, actually.
No, I'm
she's
happy
amazing.
To. So, but
yeah.
What did you solicit any kind of community input in this process? Without minutes, without agendas, there's no way to see the work that's being done. And I would make a, may I finish, please?
Let me just say.
Wait, hold on, Vice Chair.
I think I have the mic.
Vice Chair, thank you.
So one of the things that you might want to consider moving forward is when we had our subcommittee meeting, we did it in this room, we recorded it, it's on the county website. Anybody can see it, anybody can go back. We didn't take public comment because it wasn't a full board meeting. However, the public could always email us, call us, send letters to us. A lot of the recommendations of the people we spoke to came from the public. And then, of course, the public had that, and you had this process. Nowhere in the work that you've done, I can go back and feel reassured that the 550,000 people that live in the unincorporated are being covered. And when I read this, and look, I agree with where you're going. I'm not against what you're doing. I just want to make sure that when we're working with these vulnerable populations, that we're really thoughtful and we get it right the first time. But when I looked at this, we're only talking about hospitals, and part of the problem of the unincorporated is if you live in Potrero and your average household income is $42,000 and you have an issue and you're not addressing the clinic that's near them, they're going to be an emergency room call coming into the city in an ambulance. And so the people that need it most should be at the forefront. And if we're using J.C. Cooper, who may be city-driven and never been to Potrero and doesn't understand the demographics other than on paper, we've excluded people like neighborhood health care or San Ysidro health care. Some of these groups that service these areas should have been a seat at the table.
Well, I think it would be, sorry, I'll let my colleague go.
Well,
I just think it would be important to clarify that we're, okay.
Madam Chair, I'm almost finished. Last year, our county medical services provided services for approximately 40 medically indigent people for over $970,000. And only 2 individuals were enrolled at any given time. I think part of our issue is also looking at what are we doing and how effective we are at it. When you think in terms of almost $1 million being spent and there's only 2 people in it at any given time, I think that this is a much bigger, broader issue. That's why I welcome your invitation to hear it, because I have a lot of questions. And if you had published on the web or had a meeting here, I could actually see the public input and many of those questions would be answered. And I wouldn't need a special meeting because they would have been addressed, because I could do the research on my own by simply making sure that you asked the correct questions. I'm sure you asked incredibly intelligent questions, but we all have different districts. We have different constituents, and I just want to make sure that we're reaching every district to the full extent. Okay. So with that, I'm eager to hear what you both have to say.
No, I just think there might be a fundamental misunderstanding of what this board letter is. You're talking about a table on which we've gotten input. This board letter is to create the table. We are directing the CAO to start convening and have those consultations because we do need to have those broad consultations. We haven't at all done the work to figure out like what are the reforms we need to CMS. This is to get the work moving and the ball rolling. So I thought it was written pretty clearly that this is to direct the CAO to begin those consultations. To say it again, it's to direct the CAO to, totally agree. We have to talk to the whole community in a really broad way. That is the work that needs to start. And instead of us as a subcommittee, like going off and doing it on our own, we actually came to the board and said, hey, we actually think this is something that the whole board should know about. There should be transparency around it. We're not gonna just go, me and Monica, like cook a whole cake on how we're gonna revise our entire medical system in San Diego County. That's why we're here with this board letter to say, hey, it came to our attention through the sort of initial tire kicking of our subcommittee that putting together that table and that consultative process to really rethink the way CMS works is like a really critical thing that we have to do. Instead of us just going and doing it, let's bring it to the board. Let's make sure we have a board endorsed process that the CAO can direct in a way that's transparent. So again, I think, like I said, I think there might be a misunderstanding on like what this board letter is. Like that is what the board letter is, to begin that consultative process, because we didn't feel that it was appropriate as a subcommittee to kind of do all that work without coming back to the board and making sure everyone knew what the kind of the crisis we're in, so we could then get like broad board direction for the CAO to engage in this work. So I don't know if the vice chair has anything to answer.
Just want to say I continue to look forward to the board's input, which is why the letter is here. And if there's anything that's lacking, we are legislators, and it's kind of what we do on a dais to, if there's something or someone that is not included currently in looking at the reforms and opening up that table and those conversations to ensure that everyone is represented, then I think that we can look at the board letter and maybe amend it if you're so inclined to support it. That's why it's here. So there's nothing being done in a subcommittee that would prohibit the 5 people here who are elected to represent all the 3.3 billion from doing their job here on the dais and then having that translate into the policy.
To finish up, in recommendation 3, you talk about acute care hospitals. That's exclusive. I mean, what you've done is you've narrowed what we're talking about to what you presented, and that excludes any of the acute care that's actually in the unincorporated. So I'm asking for a friendly amendment to change that from acute care hospitals to acute care community health centers too. So
Let me open the item just to look at it while you're giving me the amendment so I can see exactly what you're proposing.
So that way, as staff is moving forward, you haven't ruled out stuff before we ever started. And see, the issue I have, I agree with everything you're saying, but it's our bias to rule things out because we're not thinking from all 5 districts. We're thinking from the districts that we most frequently are in, our own.
Can you
and so,
tell me again what your proposed amendment is?
So right now it says acute care hospitals. I'd like for it to say acute care community health centers. Many of the health centers in the unincorporated are acute care, but they're being excluded from the process. And I'm happily would be supportive of that. My problem is I don't know how we got to where we are. And maybe this would have been better described as just a joint authored board letter, not an ad hoc subcommittee result, because when you say ad hoc subcommittee, I'm thinking there's going to be agendas, meetings, community input, notes to share, and how, you know, and it's clearly laid out how you got to the recommendations in who played a role in developing those recommendations. You have these recommendations. By the way, I totally agree, but I just want to make sure we're not making this so narrow that we've excluded the unincorporated before we even start. And since this is just a process where staff's going to come back, why would you care if it's narrowly defined?
I am fine with your recommendation, but I just want to reiterate what you said, is that you said that we should have been less transparent about what happened in the subcommittee and not brought this forward as a subcommittee item when this is what we discussed in the subcommittee and we wanted to bring it to the board. So that's that for me, I'm fine with including clinics, FQHCs, to be a part of the conversation. I think they're already county contracted, but a part of the conversation. But that's why I think it's important to bring it to the board so that we can hear that feedback. It doesn't have to be an insult and accusations that folks are not being transparent. It'd just be an amendment, that's all.
Supervisor, I don't mean it to be that way. I'm sorry you took it that way. That's not my intention. But there's nothing here. And when I read this, you know, I just want to point out to y'all that you excluded the unincorporated in the verbiage. And I'm glad that I knew if I brought it to your attention, you'd be open to it because you're always very reasonable and you have a great approach towards this.
I would just say one of your recommendation that the clinics do not do acute care. So there's probably another reason why, but I'm okay with them being at the table for sure.
I mean, how about, I'm just kind of thinking about this. First of all, you're saying we excluded the rural areas. This is not true, but for your greater peace of mind, if you would like to make that abundantly clear, we can certainly add, you know, with primary emphasis on acute care hospitals and ensuring cross-county in representation, including the rural parts of our county. I mean, if you feel so insecure that this is written in a way that's going to like exclude the rural areas, we can certainly say that because that's obviously the intent. But if you need that for your own insurance, if you want to say something with, you know, we can add a clause that says primary acute care hospitals and ensuring countywide impact from all districts, including our rural communities. I'm fine to include that.
Madam Chair, you waived our board policy A72 in presenting this forward. That's our safety check. You have no minutes, you have no agenda, you have no notes. I'm sure that you're very thorough because you're a thorough person and you did a great job, and I'm sure because everything you do is quality. But there is nothing for the public or for me to see on how you determine this. And then when I look and you've excluded acute care in the unincorporated, the hospitals do provide it, but some of the clinics do too. And you've left me no choice. If you had a more transparent process.
But Joel, sorry, Supervisor Anderson, I'm offering to accept an amendment. What amendment would you like to make?
May I please finish? If you had had hearings that that the people you talk to, when they give testimony to your subcommittee, if it was public, if it was on the website, then I could go back and be reassured. I mean, I have no idea who you even spoke to other than J.C. Cooper. And
you don't even know who she is. So that's a little bit of an issue. But go ahead.
The reason why I don't know who she is we didn't learn who you spoke with because there's no minutes, no agendas, no notes, nothing public.
Actually, that's not true. It is a public record, like extremely public, that we as a county approved a contract with J.C. Cooper to consult with our county on this entire process of how to transform our medical system. So maybe you weren't paying attention to that meeting, but that is not a secret.
Okay. I'm losing ground here. You've agreed to an amendment.
Well, now I don't know. I just offered you one, but now you're being rude. What would you like to do here? I would love to be able to have broad board support to support our provider system so it doesn't collapse. We've both offered to hear an amendment, and you've just continued to insinuate that somehow myself and the vice chair have hid from you a contract that we have with J.C. Cooper that you all approved and are well aware of. If you're not well aware of, then your staff didn't brief you.
We approve a lot of contracts. I never heard anything that J.C. presented. All of the things that J.C. presented could have been posted on our website for public view, so we all know. And we're only contracted with one person, but who were the community input? Who represented everybody at the table? Were all the hospitals there? I think they are because they're all here. But what about the clinics? What about the other folks? Look, I'm saying all I'm looking for is that we don't, in our recommendation, predetermine where we're headed when we're still in fact-finding mode. And I think you brought it to the board of 5 so that we could help participate in the final decision. So I'm asking that we don't make it exclusive, we make it inclusive and allow those clinics. I'm just going to pick 2 off the top of my head. Neighborhood healthcare, San Ysidro Healthcare, both participate heavily in the unincorporated. I'm sure there are additional people, but I don't have everybody memorized. And I know that there are more, but I just don't know them all off the top of my head.
Supervisor Anderson, I'm trying to get to an amendment. I offered you an amendment.
Can I suggest something?
Could you repeat the amendment that you're offering?
Yeah, I'll give you 2 options, 2 choices. How's that? So you can choose. Option 1 is simple. Right now, it says, with primary emphasis on acute care hospitals. We could cross out the word hospitals and say providers. That is inclusive. The other option would be, okay. I'm good. Is that okay with the vice chair?
That is fine, and I appreciate the addition.
Could someone from our team from HSSA take a moment, apologies to put you on the spot. I do think it's important, since apparently people are not paying attention to the important work that we as a county are doing to prepare for what's coming with HR1 and the gaps that we're looking at with CMS. If someone could come up and talk a little bit about the consultant we've hired to advise our committee and J.C. Cooper's qualifications and the work she's doing, although this has been voted on by the board and is well known, or should be well known, by anyone who's paying attention.
Chair, I have the Assistant Chief Administrative Officer, Caroline Smith, here, and she can speak to the status of that. Thank you.
Certainly, thank you so much for the question, Chair Lawson-Remer. J.C. Cooper is a consultant that county staff had engaged to assist with the broader planning for H.R. 1. She is largely recognized as a national expert. She's had experience in both the state administration as the head of the Medi-Cal work for the state. She's also had national experience with previous administrations running the 1115 waiver program for the federal government. Additionally, she had started her work with counties. In the beginning, early on in her career, she worked for Kern County, so really kind of understands firsthand what our work looks like as we do have that kind of frontline county effort. So over the course of her career, she has provided a tremendous amount of expertise and firsthand knowledge. And so we feel incredibly fortunate that she has been able to help inform our staff on a number of fronts in H.R. 1, including this 17,000 mandate.
Okay, thank you. And can you just, for the refresh the recollection of the board, like when was she retained?
Certainly. I have to go back to the contract signature date, but it was either the end of December or beginning of January.
Okay. And is this like a big secret, or was this public information?
It's certainly not a secret. The contract is a public document on our contracting website. It is not a super large contract amount. It is typically done under the authority that we work with in staff when we engage our expert professionals to assist us.
Thank you. Any other questions from anybody? Fabulous. Supervisor Desmond.
Yeah, I do think this is very important and necessary for our residents. And I think what's kind of complicating the issue is the ad hoc committees are new, and I appreciate the support and I guess the report coming to the board with your findings. Although waiving the policy A72, I would have liked to seen staff's input on the feasibility of some of these items before they were part of the recommendations. And because of that, I'm not going to support it today. I'd like to see staff's input first on these items. So I guess what I'm asking is if before ad hoc committees come back to the board, that they at least run it through staff. So I think it's more of a, this is new, and maybe it's the process needs to be refined or whatever the case. But I appreciate coming back to us, but I would have liked to seen it go through staff first.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any other further comments or questions on this item? Supervisor, Chair Pro Tem Aguirre.
Just a quick comment. I can see and understand the urgency of this item, and it's in its name, exploring reforms to county medical services. That's all we're doing. That's all we would be proposing today. I for one, have the district with the highest poverty levels and the people that will be most vulnerable. To your point, Chair, about the hospital, or a hospital potentially closing their doors, like that's something that I'm very well aware of in the district, that we're being impacted by many other dynamics in addition to what H.R. 1 is bringing. So I understand the urgency, and I'm happy to support the item.
Thank you very much. Appreciate the statement of support. So let me just summarize. I think we have a motion on the floor in a second with a small amendment that we both were happy to take in order to kind of have broad board support for this item moving forward. And I do appreciate the interest of this board in all of us kind of getting on the same page of what we were briefed on as a subcommittee from the analysis that came our way from J.C. Cooper regarding the threats facing our region. And we're going to do what we can. Hopefully she can come to our next meeting. But if not, my team will certainly be in touch with your team and hope to everyone's cooperation to be able to schedule a special session if she's not able to come to our next meeting. So I think that with that, we can go ahead and call the vote.
Chair Lawson-Remer, that motion passes with Supervisor Desmond voting no, all other supervisors being present and voting aye.
Okay, thank you all very much. So we will now move on, hold on, to our next item. We're going to go to item 16. If the team, I think, has a 10-minute presentation.
Good morning, Chair Lawson-Remer and members of the board. In December, we presented an update on the countywide food contract with Cisco, which serves the Sheriff's Detention Facilities and the Edgemoor Skilled Nursing Center. The food contract supports Board Policy B75, which aims to strengthen our regional food system in partnership with the San Diego Food System Alliance. Positioning our county to be a national leader in food justice and sustainability will require a focused effort over time, as there are local market factors that impact both the cost and availability of food items that meet our 6 value categories in the program, which you will hear more about in our staff presentation. Today, we're back at your board's direction to discuss 3 follow-up areas related to the food contract. And to do that, I will turn it over to Garrett Cooper, Assistant Director of Agriculture Weights and Measures, and Brenda Miller, Assistant Director of Purchasing and Contracting.
Thank you, Brian. In December, the board gave us 3 main directions. First, continue strengthening our outreach and technical assistance for local producers. Second, take a deeper look at the barriers that make local procurement challenging. And third, develop ambitious but realistic goals across the 6 B75 value categories. That guidance really set the path for what we've been working on over the last few months. Since then, we've continued meeting with the Farm Bureau, local food hubs, and the University of California Cooperative Extension to build stronger support system for producers. We've been sharing resources, improving our website to make information easier to access, and offering one-on-one support through EDGA's Support, Training, and Education for Procurement, or STEP program. This is so smaller farmers can more easily navigate county contracting. We've also brought Cisco into the conversation earlier, especially when it comes to connecting with local producers of products we buy frequently, like eggs, bread, and vegetables. These early conversations make a big difference in building relationships and identifying real opportunities. To bring all of this together, we're launching Sprout, supporting producers through resources, opportunities, united partnerships, and technical assistance. Sprout gives us a clear structure for how we engage with producers, how we train and support them, and how we connect them with opportunities. It includes everything from produce safety training and grant writing workshops to online guides and regular updates about funding and contracting opportunities. And Cisco is an active partner here. They'll even be joining the Food Justice Community Action Plan workshop later this month. Before we go deeper into procurement, I want to take a moment and talk about the agricultural landscape in San Diego County, because it really shapes what's possible. Our region has more than 4,000 farms, more small farms than any county in the country. About 830 grow fruits or vegetables, and around 300 raise animals. But producers here face steep land and water costs, and many rely on higher value specialty crops to make ends meet, such as nursery commodities. Out of roughly 200,000 acres of agricultural land, only about 13%, or 27,000 acres, is used to grow edible crops. And only a portion of that, or around 5,000 acres, is made up of crops typically used in institutional food service. The other 22,000 acres is made up of specialty crops such as avocados and/or foods not really used in institutional menus such as lemons. Farms growing foods that can be used for institutional menus are small, often just a few acres, and many sell directly to consumers rather than through large distributors. Even with these challenges, many growers we've spoken with are excited about working with the county. The interest is definitely there. What we're working on now is creating the infrastructure, partnerships, and pathways that make participation realistic for them. The Cisco contract helps us do that. With about $12 million in annual spending, including $1.6 million for produce, we have a real opportunity to focus on products we already buy in high volume and that are already being grown locally. With that, I'll turn it over to Brenda, who will walk through what we've done and what we're doing to address procurement barriers and the goals that we have established for this program.
Thank you, Garrett. Since December, the county and Cisco have been working together to understand what makes it hard for local farms to sell to the county and how to address these challenges. Our goal is simple: keep county dollars in the region, support sustainable farming, and help local producers who want to work with the county. By choosing local and organic products, we can support B75 priorities while also strengthening our local economy. We're focusing on the following barriers. County contracts require insurance, food safety certifications, and a steady supply of products. Many small farms are not set up to meet the demands of large government contracts. Some farms prefer to stay focused on direct sales, specialty markets, and may not be interested in selling through distributors. After meeting with the Farm Bureau, we shifted from broad outreach to a more targeted approach. As a result, we identified growers who already meet key requirements for volume, food safety, and operations. We created a focused list of strong candidates for onboarding. Cisco recently onboarded a San Diego egg supplier and helped reduce a major barrier by lowering the insurance requirement from $2 million to $500,000, making it possible for this small local farm to participate in the Cisco contract. Beyond getting new suppliers onboarded, we've also been removing barriers related to buying organic products and improving how our operations work together. DPC updated the Cisco contract so we can now buy produce directly from FreshPoint, Cisco's specialty produce company. Cisco agreed to waive certain fees to make this possible. This change allows our food programs to purchase more organic produce without increasing cost. It supports Edgemore's 50% organic goal with similar commitments from the sheriff's food programs. We've reduced other unnecessary barriers as well. For example, Cisco lowered insurance requirements and clarified packaging standards. For example, a kosher 2-slice bread, the top ordered item from the sheriff's program, has packaging requirements that are essential to protect product integrity. Cisco is actively seeking a qualified regional supplier that could meet these requirements. We're also improving logistics so growers can better connect with Cisco and FreshPoint distribution channels. We're enhancing labeling and product visibility so organic options are easier to find and order. Sheriff's Office and Edgemore are coordinating their menus more strategically and sharing purchasing needs earlier in the year. This helps producers understand demand before making planting decisions. Together, these changes reduce remaining barriers and create more stable, predictable opportunities for local growers. These first 3 charts show our expected progress, and we continue to address barriers, support stakeholder engagement, and technical assistance. The blue dotted line identifies the national average for similar programs. The orange line is where we are now, and the green line shows our work to exceed this average over the next 5 years. The greatest opportunities for immediate impact, given our actions described earlier, are in the organic and regenerative local sourcing and nutritional co-benefit categories. Organic and regenerative farming improves soil health, which boosts nutrient density and reduces overall emissions. Expanding access to organic produce through continuing to onboard vendors like FreshPoint will assist in meeting this goal. Local sourcing supports community economies and can lower carbon intensity. To meet this goal, we'll work with Cisco to continue to improve completeness of data on where items are grown, produced, or manufactured, while continuing to identify and onboard local suppliers to support our institutional food needs. Nutritional co-benefit supports health and well-being and is strengthened by local sourcing, since shorter supply chains preserve freshness and reduce transportation emissions. Although this report highlights the county-wide Cisco contract, the Sheriff's Office is also partnering with other vendors, such as a local dairy, to promote progress in the local sourcing value category. These last three categories, equity-informed sourcing, ensures historically marginalized farmers and suppliers have access to markets, reinforcing social sustainability and complementing regenerative practices. Elevated labor standards promote fair wages and safe conditions, aligning with equity goals, and it includes Office of Labor Standards quarterly reviews against the wage theft dashboard. Low carbon intensity is achieved through reductions in animal products purchased and overall supported through regenerative farming and local sourcing. Progress in the value categories will require balancing budget considerations with operational needs. If any value category isn't moving towards our goal, we reassess the system, analyze the data to find the root causes, and quickly apply corrective actions to get performance back on track. To put it simply, in 5 years, we'll lead the way, exceed the national average of programs similar to the county in all 6 value categories. Cisco is committed to helping county meet B75 goals and is taking steps beyond their contract requirements. Cisco will review all new products for B75 alignment and track how many values-aligned suppliers they bring on. They will collect B75 data from vendors who supply the county's top purchased items, share a report on San Diego-based suppliers supporting their contracts, and provide quarterly updates. Join quarterly meetings with the Farm Bureau to keep partnerships strong. Share monthly fresh press updates that will let Edgemoor and Sheriff's Office know which value-aligned products are available, and provide an annual summary of incentives, training, and resource they offer to help bring value-aligned suppliers into their system. County staff will report back to the board this December with an update on progress under the county-wide food contract with Cisco. This update will cover progress toward established commitments, implementation of the Sprout Initiative, and actions taken to support local and values-aligned businesses. Subject to your question, this concludes our presentation.
We'll now go to public comment.
Thank you, Chair Lawson-Remer. We have 10 requests to speak on this item, 4 in person and 6 requesting to speak by phone. Also note for the record that we received 6 e-comments, 5 in support and 1 in opposition. For any individuals that requested to speak on item 16 by phone, please dial into the conference line using the instructions that were provided to you. We'll begin with the in-person speakers. As their name is called, please come forward and stand on the arrows until it is your turn to speak at the podium. Because there are 10 or more speakers on this item, you'll have 1 minute to address the board. I'd like to invite forward allegedly Audra, Cesar Javier, Chandra Richards, and Jennifer Roysden. If I've called your name, please come forward.
You guys are so good just sitting here straight-faced acting like you care about people and what we eat, right? But let's not worry about the toxic things in the food. It's okay, as long as we can just kill people very quickly and give it to people like the kids in the Polensky Center and stuff, right? Because we really care about them. It's obvious by how the place has been shut down, right? And reducing animal products. See, this is interesting. This is like a United Nations agenda. Right, we got to get people to quit eating meat. That's why we 3D print it and stuff like that, so we don't have cow farts getting in the way. But yeah, I mean, this is really just terrifying to think about, you guys controlling all of the food in the county and making sure all of the farms and stuff get in bed with you guys so that you guys can shut them down. You guys are, it's like comedy up here. You guys are good. And Tara, I think I misspoke. It's a clump of cells, not a bun in the oven.
Next speaker, please.
Cesar and Purita, we are here to help, to work together. We expect food for less. Ralph and Sprout to give us a lecture on what price all this. You know, Councilor Rivera, District 9, City of San Diego, he was trying to possibly make discounts of this food. When you say food, clean food. Are we trying to procure clean food? Are we trying to stick on one contractor? Why? I request you to attend the Water Authority. This is one issue. We need water. And it's only last month when water was connected to our neighboring sovereign tribal, which are producing also herbal products, which is good.
Thank you. Thank you. Your time is up.
God
Thank
help.
you.
God help.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Good morning. My name is Chandra Richards. I'm the Area County Director for UC Cooperative Extension in San Diego and Imperial counties. I would like to express our strong support for the local food procurement program and highlight the long-standing partnership between the County of San Diego and UC Cooperative Extension. For decades, we've worked side by side to strengthen regional agriculture, expand nutritional education, support small and emerging farmers, and advance climate-smart and community-based solutions. This program is a natural extension of that shared work. It deepens our collective commitment to a food system that is sustainable, equitable, and rooted in local producers. We appreciate the county's efforts to reduce barriers for growers, expand training, and create clearer pathways for local farms to participate in procurement. These efforts directly amplify the impact of UC Cooperative Extension on the ground and support for historically underserved producers. Cooperative Extension is proud to continue the partnership and stands ready to collaborate even more closely. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. A final call for Jennifer Roysden. We'll now hear from those that requested to speak by phone. We'll start with our first caller.
I know about plans and commitments, but this is a progress report. It should focus on what has actually happened to date. I question whether the team actually interviewed the recipients of the Cisco contract or just kept to their county offices and Cisco's. Cisco boasts that it actively engaged over 1,200 local producers, about a third of them, to identify alternatives to items in its catalog, and a whole 2 suppliers have shown strong interest. It's a start. The county needs to look beyond Cisco, maybe form a county consortium of local growers. It does have counties producing purchasing the same and is pursuing direct cost.
Thank you. We'll hear from the next caller.
Consuelo. So keep the money of the county in the county. We should be investing in our local farmers, but I know better. This is the way of having government get their dirty hands on independent local farmers' production processes. They'd be required to abide by what government demands of them, independence outdoor, penalized for not abiding. I'd highly advise our local farmers to use their discernment in working with anything pertaining to government. In the end, they'll be calling the shots in everything you plant, harvest, and sell. Making deals with these deceitful devils, it may seem lucrative and stable, but it's time to step back and remember that the shady business of government has the goal to be in total control of everyone and everyone reliant on them. Food is essential, and once they have total control of it, it's over. Wake up, San Diego. Wake up, humanity.
Thank you. We'll hear from the next caller.
Hey, it's truth. It's the county systemic status quo for Cisco, a Texas-based company expected to adhere to a California delusional goal of racist equity, anything for a buck. But there's no such thing as values-aligned purchases voted on by people with zero values. Hence the focus on upping wages for the progressive union campaign funders. Does reach out to Farm Bureau mean just pretend to reach them, just like the last item? Is this an untransparent sole source monopoly contract, just like the J.C. Cooper backroom deal? Because Tara is known for backroom deals. Instead of reimagining requirements, why don't you start serving some healthy food for Edgemore, where you house sexually violent predators within the city of Santee's boundaries? It's a food system initiative related to the San Diego Food Systems Alliance, who've received over $10,000 for staff and musicians. The San Diego Food Hub seems to have no website and no address. That's terrorist-style transparency in effect. I also do not approve of Tara's disrespectful and childish behavior today. It was more disgusting than the food Cisco is likely trucking in on big GHG-emitting commercial trucks, you county hypocrites.
Thank you. We'll hear from the final caller.
I do find it funny the fact that the union really did not really wanted term limits. And now that they got someone like you, Tara, they want to reverse that. You know, thank God they're not registering people to vote and voting for them, right? That's according to you, not according to the heritage studies that have been done. And basically that's where most of the fraud is coming from. But we don't need to look at that. I mean, as long as you're willing to go ahead and turn your back on, you know, the American people, you could get promoted into becoming the registrar, right, Sean? If you turn your back on what you did, you know, the people that you worked under, Dave Lonsdale, Mark Bradley, that taught us these wonderful lessons, and you ignore all that and just follow exactly what Michael Vu wanted, and during a time that we were being sued over, you know, vote by mail, you decided to basically get rid of me and put me on hold for 6 years, then file a
Thank you, Chair Lawson-Remer. That concludes public comment on this item.
Okay, thank you so much. Supervisor Anderson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just had a couple quick questions. So is county staff working through Cisco, and Cisco is, what's the relationship between our staff and Cisco, so I best understand it? And I don't know who best to answer that.
The county staff is collaborating with Cisco to help onboard our local suppliers, but it is a Cisco contract. We're working very closely with them.
Have many local food producers been hired in the system thus far?
The recent producer that we onboarded is our local egg supplier.
Okay. And then are we using any local food brokers? You know, for a lot of these folks, they're just not big enough, but the food brokers, you know, they may take 10 farmers and combine them so they can meet bigger contracts.
So through the chair, Supervisor, we certainly are looking at different food aggregators and food brokers that could be incorporated and onboarded into the Cisco contract. Currently, one that is a big focus is the Food Hub, and then there's also several different other aggregators, Dickinson Ranch, Yasukuchi Farms, JR Organics, who actually collect commodities from all sorts of different farms throughout the region.
Yasukuchi Family Farms in D4 is one of the ones that's on my radar. Also Premier Produce in Mosiri Produce. I'm butchering their names. Even though it's vegetables, I'm butchering it. So I just want to make sure that we're connecting with all the right people in the community. And they're, you know, one's in D3, one's in D1. I'd be proud to call them all D2, but none of them are. So thank you for your hard work.
Okay, thank you so much. Vice Chair Montgomery Stepp.
Thank you, and I know that is always a concern that we're bringing in as many local providers as possible, and that sometimes it requires a little bit more than we normally do. So thank you for addressing that in our discussion in December, and for bringing back this comprehensive progress report. I do appreciate the establishment of the clear 5-year performance commitments, and I look forward to continuing to monitor progress for all of the 6 value categories. I also want to thank Cisco for working to comply with county's B75 sustainability framework. to strengthen data tracking and reporting, and that level of transparency and accountability really is essential for making meaningful progress. I recognize that it was difficult to overcome some of the barriers to local procurement of fresh produce. We've been talking about that for a while, but I do commend Purchasing and Contracting for amending the contract with Cisco to allow direct purchasing from local producers, which cuts down some of those barriers. So we definitely want a food system to not only nourish our residents, but also strengthen our small food producers as well as the local economy. So thank you for keeping all of those things in mind and keeping us updated and for all of your hard work. I know that the recommendation is just for us to receive the report. I'm happy to move that if needed.
Thank you so much. We have a motion on the floor. Just want to say I also appreciate the benchmarks. I think this has been really iterative, and when we started this, we weren't even sure what was possible, and I think the data from this initial report shows that, especially in certain kind of parts of our county, there's certain departments who are doing amazing, and others are doing less amazing in terms of reaching. It's true. Some are really doing amazing, and some are definitely not. So that's helpful to kind of note that there's, a lot that can be done, that this is really doable, which was kind of the question from the outset. And then I think like having those kinds of benchmarks and like a framework towards how we move towards this not being optional fundamentally as we move forward. And I think it's very thoughtful. So thank you for moving us in the right direction. And I do want to just thank our county departments that have really kind of been thoughtful about how to source local, how to buy from our rural communities here in San Diego County, how to kind of take into account these big important issues in how they do purchasing for our food contracts. Thanks. Do we have a second? Okay, Supervisor Desmond. Great. Any further comments from anyone?
Just a quick comment, Chair. I want to thank staff for all your work around this. And I would actually say I do appreciate the benchmarks, but I would encourage us to be even more ambitious so that we can set the national standard. I really appreciate the launch of Sprout and the technical assistant efforts. I think that's important so that we can have equity in our providers. So I totally and thoroughly understand like the logistical challenges of expanding and becoming more ambitious, but I want to encourage us to do so. So thank you, Chair.
Okay, thank you all very much. So just kind of like looking forward at the rest of the day. We've got, we have to vote. So much consensus. Okay, we have a motion on the floor in a second.
Chair Lawson-Remer, that motion passes unanimously with all supervisors being present and voting aye.
Okay, I'm glad we all agree. That's great. Fantastic. Okay, so moving forward, looking at the rest of the day, we're going to be taking lunch, then item 15 after lunch, and then items 13 and FP2, and then item 14. So this is for our staff, our county team. Okay. It's a little bit afternoon. We'll be back here at 1 o'clock. Thanks.
Board is in recess until 1 p.m.
Yay.